They're getting more and more frustrated.
Please, can we go any slower?
You could be back at the shop getting work done.
I should have stayed at work and actually worked.
Get Quick Delivery Service to battle the traffic for you. They'll make your deliveries while you get other things done. Quick Delivery Service makes it easy. No forms, no labels, no scanning. They'll deliver large pallets of materials to important documents. Simply tell Quick Delivery Service where it's going. They'll pick it up and get it to your destination quickly. Plus, your deliveries are tracked with real-time GPS notifications. Visit quickdelivery.com and stay out of traffic.
Oh no, this exit's closed?
Call now for a free quote. 847-534-2244 or go to quickdelivery.com.
Now, your official weather forecast.
Today will be mostly cloudy, not as warm, but humid with a few showers and a heavy thunderstorm, which may lead to flash flooding. The high will reach 80. Tonight stays cloudy, warm, and humid with a couple of heavy thunderstorms. There's a risk of significant flash flooding, so be cautious of rapidly rising water. The low will be around 72. I'm meteorologist Jason Caterina on AM 560, The Answer.
Get the latest weather, traffic, and news updates online at 560theanswer.com.
Portions of the following show may be pre-recorded.
This hourly segment is brought to you by Forever Remodeling. Stress-free and high-quality remodeling. View their stunning transformations online at the number 4everremodeling.com.
Now, from the Signature Bank Studios. This is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft on AM 560. The Answer.
AM 560, The Answer. This is Chicago's Morning Answer. Chris Kroc in for Dan Proft. He is back on Monday. It is, of course, a great Friday. Here we go. So, we had the sad news of Hulk Hogan dying yesterday. We'll get into the Justice Department, the number 2 at Justice Department, second to the top cop in the country, going to visit Ghislaine Maxwell yesterday, and if that was the right thing to do and what to expect out of that. And then, of course, the latest with the Russiagate fallout and Tulsi Gabbard releasing all the documents, so much more. But I want to do, let's do Hulk first. So, you know, it's interesting. You when somebody passes away, whether it be Ozzy Osbourne the other day, my wife says, this is in threes. You had, what's his name? Theo Huxtable from The Cosby Show, drowning. I'm not some superstitious guy at all, but you had him. Then you had Ozzy, which was sad. That was not good. And then we have the Hulkster. When these folks, particularly Hulk and Ozzy, when they die, really Hulk though, I think there's more of a connection for us folk because of the fact that he is such a vocal supporter of Trump. I saw a video of him in New York City walking down the street in 2015 during the primaries. Or at least before the election, and he unequivocally was a Trump supporter back then, too. So he was with him all the way through. Here's a great moment. This, looking back and reflecting on Hulk Hogan and politically. And then, of course, there's people like J.D. Vance saying he was his hero when he was a kid. Here is Hulk Hogan at the Republican National Convention. Check it out.
And I see all the real Americans. I think about how Donald Trump, his family was compromised. When I look out there and I see Donald Trump, I think about how his business was compromised. But what happened last week when they took a shot at my hero and they tried to kill the next president of the United States? Enough was enough, and I said, let Trumpomania run wild, brother. Let Trumpomania rule again. Let Trumpomania make America great again.
You know, my first thought was it's Hulk. It was kind of like, to me, at first it was like a joke. Like, come on, this is WWE. But you watch that, and it put goosebumps on you. That was wonderful. That was a great, great, great moment for this country and for Hulk and for Trump and and such. So that was just real sweet. Here's one more quick thing before we get into the Epstein files and Russiagate latest. Here is one more. This is great. This is Tom Homan. I'm like, why are you asking Tom Homan about Hulk? My gosh. You think that some great president just passed away or something, but that's okay. Here's what Tom Homan said when he was asked about it.
The president passed away today. Hulk Hogan, dead at 71. Do you have a favorite Hulk Hogan memory?
I love Hulk Hogan. I had an Italian Mastiff dog, 200 pounds. His name, Hulk Homan.
Hulk Homan! Oh, yeah. Woof. That was great. So we also find out yesterday, we see the number 2 at the Justice Department show up and meet with Ghislaine Maxwell, the 20-year sentenced convict for sex trafficking. And there is never anybody at the level of our assistant AG that has ever gone and talked to a prisoner. In fact, nobody can think of a time that anywhere near that level of the Justice Department would go in and visit a convict. It just doesn't happen. Except in the Epstein case. So the assistant AG who went and saw him, Deputy Attorney General Todd Blanche, said that she answered all these questions. Well, I should say her attorney said that. No reports of anything but smooth and questioning and stuff like that. But I cannot help but think this could be even more of a gross error. When you have Chuck Schumer, this poor old clown, when you have Chuck Schumer coming out and telling you, the Penguin, the American people have a right to know what happened, as if he cares or knows that there's anything there, because there's no there. You know it and I know it. The House GOP said maybe declared the Epstein recess to give Trump time to prepare papers for the pardon of Ghislaine Maxwell. Like, it's just it's a joke and it's stupid. So was it really worth going to federal prison and interviewing Ghislaine Maxwell? Is she going to tell us anything? Well, there's a couple of schools of thought. One is she never said anything before when she was in her trial, when she was sentenced in 2021. Why would she say something now? You got that. And then the other aspect of this is, if you look at the timing on this, so Epstein killed himself in 2019. Ghislaine Maxwell was found guilty in 2021. She had no reason to talk, right? She had no reason to give the client list up or give any details. Epstein was already gone. What was there to gain? And people have said if she had something, she would have already given it so that she could get a less sentence. Instead of getting 20 years, she could have negotiated with the federal government. Hey, I'm going to give you all the secrets if you will give me a better deal. That didn't happen. So, and then also she lied in her civil trial in 2016. She has lied on every single thing, every investigation, obfuscated, lied, hid. She went to hide in the FBI. Had to find her at some $1 million mansion in Maine, I think it was, way back when, if you remember that. The FBI showed up at that cottage, that $1 million cottage in the middle of nowhere, and kicked the door down and dragged her out because she wouldn't come out. So here's the thing. I had this fear, even though she didn't say anything before, but maybe she will now. I think we're going to be played again. We are now relying on Ghislaine Maxwell as being our hero to share something. The sick pimp and sex trafficker under Joseph Epstein. Jeffrey Epstein, excuse me. So I think it's going to prolong things. That's what I think is going to happen. I think that we're going to get another nothing burger. And all it's going to do is keep playing out and out and out. One of the suggestions written by the Wall Street Journal editorial board, take it or leave it for what it's worth, is for Trump to just come out, or his people to come out and say, his administration to come out and say, we messed up. There was nothing there. We cannot share anything there. We know the judge from Florida already said, I'm not releasing the sealed documents because of the nature of this case, and they never do unsealed documents typically in these kinds of cases at all, in most criminal cases. So I want to ask you this. what do you think is the best way to end this? Because I think the best way to end this is what they should have done a long time ago, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 8, 8 weeks ago, 10 weeks ago, and said, you know what? We messed up. We thought there was there. There is no there. And own it and move forward. Because this keeps going in a direction that never comes out good for us. And now we're kind of we're down to our last choice here. Help me, Ghislaine Maxwell. Please help us. I don't know. Do you trust her? And what do you think is the best way to end this whole thing? 312-642-5600 is our number. 312-642-5600. I do not trust her, and I don't think she's going to give us anything. She could have used it and given us something back in the day. But you could also flip it and say, well, yeah, she didn't give anything back then because Epstein was already dead. What was there for her to share that she didn't want to share? Now she might get a lower sentence. In fact, the experts, the attorney expert type folks on Fox News are saying that, in fact, what's his name? Dershowitz. He says this is a great way to do it. You give her a deal. So they might give her 5 years off her sentence or 10 years off her sentence in exchange for information. Maybe she will share stuff. But if you can't verify it, then you're SOL. That's one thing. And number two, you have the client list under Epstein. They're so intertwined with the victims' names. So, in fact, that's what the Trump administration said. When we go into these files, so much of this stuff is intertwined with the actual person who's a victim and their relatives, and so they had to black out so much stuff. Every single picture of everybody in these things that are minors or related to the victims is all blacked out. And so they decided there really wasn't much there to release from what they had. What do you think is the best way to end this? That is my question for you. 312-642-5600. 312-642-5600. I look at remember they had those 15 big Trump supporter influencers in February that came out. They were invited to the White House. They didn't know what it was about. Then they came out later on. They had these binders, and it was phase one of the Epstein files being released. And they held them up, and then they went back home, and it was the same crap we've already seen. So I think the more this continues to play out, the worse it looks, even though I don't think there's any there, period. And they're talking about how Trump wrote this in this supposed birthday book, which nobody believes that crap. But, there was a new one the Wall Street Journal said yesterday. He said this. Or he did this. It's all before he was convicted or even charged with any sexual trafficking. So it's like, what does this matter? And then fake news CNN. We have pictures of Epstein at Trump's wedding. When was that? In the 90s. Wow. There was no sex trafficking allegations whatsoever until I think 2006 or 7. I have seen nothing in the relationship with Trump that took place anywhere near where that the charges were against Epstein. So I don't see this ending well, and I think that Tulsi Gabbard, Dan Bongino, Kash Patel should probably just say, hey, there's nothing there. Now, maybe you think there is, and maybe there is. Maybe Ghislaine Maxwell is going to be our Obi-Wan Kenobi. Help me, Obi-Wan, you're my only hope. But dang, relying on her, I don't know, man. It's kind of sad that that's her last hope. All right, your thoughts, 312-642-5600. Coming up next, too, I want to get into... Russiagate. There's so much more that keeps coming out, and how just vile what the Biden administration did, not Biden, what's his name? Obama, at his behest, did to this country, to you and me, and to our president, President Trump. And we're also going to play some great audio from when Trump went yesterday to the Fed's headquarters with Chairman Jerome Powell right next to him in front of the cameras. And, hey, what would you do, Trump, if you're the project manager of something like this big renovation at the Fed, and it was way over budget? What would you do? I love his answer right in front of Chairman Powell right next to him. We'll get into all that coming up next. 312-642-5600. This is Chris Crock in for Dan Proft, AM 560, The Answer.
This is the morning show more Chicago radio listeners are choosing. This is Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer.
For months, you've been hearing ads about Virago immune support. I have to tell you, this stuff is for real. I had an occasion to not be feeling well on a remote broadcast. I took it, and it is the real deal. And the stronger your immune system, the stronger your body defends against diseases, viruses, and everything else. That's why Dr. Huber created Virago, a liquid immune booster supplement. You take it daily. It's a blend of 23 nutraceuticals working in synergy to maximize effects and boost your immune system. It's the nutraceutical cocktail for an immune system, antiviral, anti-inflammatory, antioxidant. Virago even protects your heart, your kidneys, your liver, all in a unique liquid supplement for better absorption. Do yourself and your spouse a favor. Order a bottle of Virago today online at myvirago.com. That's myvirago.com. Use coupon code IMMUNE to save 30%. Maha and Virago, making America healthy again.
We all hear the radio ads about the IRS. They tell you to be afraid, to be scared, and they try to frighten you into calling. I'm not here to do that. Tax Relief Advocates is different. TRA is here to tell you that if you owe money to the IRS, whether it's $5,000, $50,000, or $500,000, we have a solution. It doesn't matter if you're sitting in your car, at work, or with your kids. No matter where you are, call now. 800-575-6745. Don't lose hope. TRA can eliminate or reduce what you owe to the IRS.
Generous programs are now available that can give you a fresh start.
Our passion is taxes and helping individuals fix their IRS problems.
We have over 1,000 5-star reviews on Google and an A+ with the Better Business Bureau.
You don't need to be afraid of the IRS any longer. End your tax nightmare today by visiting us online at TRA.com
or call 800-575-6745. That's 800-575-6745.
Tax Relief Advocates. Real solutions for real people.
Why don't we do one of those one-day bathroom remodels?
Well, because I don't want a generic bathroom that looks like it belongs at a campsite.
Fair. I'd love something that fits us. A bigger shower, safety grab bars, better lighting, heated floors.
Let's go with Forever Remodeling. There's no templates. Every design is unique and exactly what we want.
At Forever Remodeling, no two bathrooms are ever the same. Visit Forever Remodeling today at foreverremodeling.com. That's the number 4everremodeling.com. And tell them AM 560 sent you.
Sponsored by AxeCap Ventures. America, listen up. Gold prices are breaking records. With inflation raging and central banks hoarding, every American should own gold. And like President Trump said, whoever holds the gold makes the rules. AxeCap Ventures owns one of Nevada's largest undeveloped gold deposits and trades for pennies on the dollar. This could be your way to ride the gold boom. AxeCap trades under GARLF on the OTC. Visit axecapventures.ca today.
AM 560, The Answer.
Hey, the awesome producers here at AM 560, The Answer, Chicago's Morning Answer for Dan Proft, Chris Kroc, Justin and Quinn saying, hey, what about Chuck Mangione? He just passed away, too. And I'm like, wait, I heard the name, and somebody told me, I'm like, who is this guy? Everybody's telling me he passed away. And then I was told to look up this song. Now, I completely, totally know this song. I grew up with this song. I think we all did. From 1977. What the heck? Now, I got to say this, though, not attacking the late Chuck Mangione, but what else did he do that we know of? I'm not trying to be mean. Is there anything else, producers Justin and Quinn? I'm not aware of anything else. But God bless the guy, and God rest his soul. All right, hey, so what do you think is the best way to end this Epstein crap? There's no there as far as anything wrong with Trump. Biden and would have released that. Obama would have released whatever they had. There's nothing there. We all know that, don't we? Or is there something there? I don't think there is. And then now we're forced to, it's like we're getting lower and lower. Now we're forced to go and see what Ghislaine Maxwell, a woman who was his pimp and a sex trafficker, which is so sick what she did. She used to come up in a limousine to like a middle or high school and prey on 14-year-old girls and get on, hey, you want to be a model? You should be a model. That kind of sick stuff. So now we're relying on her. All right, Craig, you've called in at 312-642-5600. I can't talk. 312-642-5600. Chris Crock in for Dan Proft on AM 560 The Answer. Hello, Craig.
Oh, hey. Good morning, Chris. Thanks for taking my call. And, I got a take on this here. What it is the CIA and the FBI and all that stuff like that. I think they've got a lot going on in here. And the fact of the matter is that Chuck Schumer, the gargoyle, he basically gave a warning about, hey, these guys got 9 ways of Sunday to get you, and stuff like that. Everybody's all afraid of them, and I believe it's all true. And they went in there.
You're talking about the threat of the intelligence apparatus, outfits. They have all these ways to get you when he said that, right?
Yes. And I believe that these agencies that have all these ways to get you, they're real deep in all this, the deep state, but they're so far deep in there and they don't want to be exposed. And generally, they can stay out of being exposed. They're there to protect people like Obama and the Clintons and all that. Yes. They help out. They pitch into this. I think that this time here, they're getting so close. Trump's getting so close to being able to get in there and actually get at the 3-letter agencies and everything like that. They're going to give up some of these people. And they just may well give up the Clintons and the Obamas and everything like that with some of this evidence and everything to protect themselves. Because don't forget, that Epstein Island, it isn't because there's nothing there. It's because there was plenty there. But they got in on that island for weeks. Weeks they were in there, all those 3-letter agencies, scooping up everything, scooping up all the video stuff, scooping up all the books and the list, everything. And then the Biden bunch, while they were in power, that's when the 3-letter agencies, they had full access, had all of it in their possession to do whatever they want. I think they've taken stuff out. They're fiction novelist writers.
Quick question for you. Do you really think Ghislaine Maxwell's going to offer anything? Isn't it sad that this is our only hope,
This is going to depend on if Trump sends, he has this person going in there to make a deal, to really make a good deal that can get her to be honest. Because she's a lying scumbag. But there's a possibility that for her own sake, of basically, and they're going to have to give her protection. So they'd have to take and promise, hey, we're going to give you protection. We're going to give you a shorter thing.
We'll see. I appreciate your call, Craig, and I want to thank you very much for calling in Chicago's Morning Answer. Thank you, bro.
You're welcome. Keep up the good work.
Thanks, brother. Appreciate you. Okay, coming up, we'll get into more Russiagate evidence coming out and just more sick stuff and fake news, CNN bearing it. All that next is Chris Crock in for Dan Proft on Chicago's Morning Answer. Right now, it's time for news with Nikki Whaley.
Good morning. It's 76 degrees in Chicago in the AM 560 The Answer newsroom. I'm Nikki Whaley. Tensions between President Trump and Fed Chair Jerome Powell are rising again over Powell's refusal to lower interest rates.
Trump toured the Federal Reserve Building in D.C. with Powell to look at the controversial $2.5 billion in renovations that Powell signed off on and used the occasion to talk interest rates.
We should have the lowest interest rate of any country, and we don't. So we want to get the rates down, but we also want to get the Fed building finished.
The two had an awkward exchange in front of reporters over a discrepancy in the amount of a new cost estimate. Trump wrapped up the visit with a more conciliatory tone, saying lowering interest rates is more important to him than the building costs. I'm Mark Mayfield.
The Supreme Court is halting an appeals ruling that limits the enforcement of the Voting Rights Act.
The case stems from a lawsuit brought by 2 Native American tribes who argue that North Dakota's state legislative map denied them an equal opportunity to elect their candidates of choice. Justices have lifted an appeals panel ruling that found the tribes and other private parties have no legal right to enforce Section 2 of the Voting Rights Act. I'm Brian Shook.
This report is sponsored by Rapid Radios. Rapid Radios are instant push-to-talk walkie-talkies offering national LTE coverage and no subscriptions ever. A great alternative to a mobile phone for your kids. For a limited time, go to rapidradios.com now for 60% off and free UPS shipping. Add code radio and get an extra 5% off. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next, but now check your forecast from the National Weather Service.
Larry Elder has a big I told you so moment.
You're okay. You're not going to get COVID if you have these vaccinations. Yeah.
People were forced to take it. People lost jobs by not taking it. And now you have a man described as a lead scientist for Johnson & Johnson on videotape. Wasn't safe and effective. We did very little research.
The Larry Elder Show. Weeknights at 8, right before Sean Hannity at 10 on AM 560. The Answer.
The following advertisement includes a celebrity impersonation.
The summer heat in Chicagoland is no joke. And if your old air conditioner is making funny noises, you may already know it's time for a new unit.
Look, your air conditioner, it's a disaster. People are telling me it's the worst ever.
Don't sweat it, literally. When it comes to cooling your home, Air Right Heating and Cooling does it the best.
And they love our country. Beautiful people.
Rebates are still available. Financing is flexible. And at Air Right, installations are smooth and professional with no surprises.
It's beautiful. Some people say it's the coolest air anyone's ever felt. I don't know. That's just what they're saying. It's doing an incredible job. Really tremendous.
Plus, tell them AM 560 sent you, and Air Right will give you $56 off any service. Visit Air Right Heating and Cooling today at AIR-RITE.com. Again, that's AIR-RITE.com. Air Right Heating and Cooling. Doing it right since 1959.
He's coming. Here he goes. Surprise! Your table saw broke. Also, the warranty expired weeks ago, so you need to pay for a new one out of pocket.
At Progressive, we know small business owners don't usually like surprises because they cost you money. But a good surprise that could save you money? Getting a commercial auto quote from Progressive.
Oh, and the replacement part you ordered doesn't fit, so it's completely useless. What a waste.
Surprise yourself. See if you can save in as little as 7 minutes at ProgressiveCommercial.com. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates.
Are you having trouble hearing? Hearing loss can devastate the quality of your life. Now, there's an affordable fix for you or your loved one. Rated the best hearing aids of 2025 by Forbes Health, Audion Hearing has the highest quality hearing aids at the lowest prices, starting at just $98 a pair.
I actually like them better than my old $5,000 hearing aid.
I could not believe how my hearing and life changed.
Join over 1 million happy customers by going to audionhearing.com. That's AUDIEN hearing.com.
Viking, dedicated to creating travel experiences for the thinking person, with programs designed for cultural enrichment on board and on shore. Discover more at Viking.com.
Now, your official weather forecast.
Today will be mostly cloudy, not as warm, but humid with a few showers and a heavy thunderstorm, which may lead to flash flooding. Expect a high of 80. Tonight stays cloudy, warm, and humid with a couple of intense thunderstorms, increasing the risk of significant flash flooding. Be cautious of rapidly rising water. The low will be 72. I'm meteorologist Jason Caterina on AM 560, The Answer.
Get the latest weather, traffic, and news updates online at 560theanswer.com.
This hourly segment is brought to you by The Real Story with Jeannie Ives, powered by Breakthrough Ideas, Sunday evening at 7 on AM 560 The Answer.
Now, from the Signature Bank Studios. If you're looking for the latest news, insight into what it means, and the sharpest opinion, there's only one station in Chicago where you can turn, and it's this one. We're AM 560, The Answer.
AM 560, The Answer, Chicago's Morning Answer. Chris Crock in for Dan Prop. Dan's back on Monday. I remember this one. Back in high school, and this one came out, I think. A good old Wheeling High School. Or as we called it, Wheeling. Wheeling, man. A little bit of gangland in there. Okay. Oh, by the way, I want to say this. We have open mic Friday. And that's coming up around, what do you think there, producer Quinn and Justin? Around, what, 30 after? 8:30? 8:25. Thank you. That's going to be awesome because we're going to go nuts. Listen, you put me on open line Friday with you and me doing all sorts of crazy stuff. That is literally what I was made for. Throw a bunch of crap at me. It'll be fun, you and me. We'll have lots of fun together. That's at 8:30, okay? Call in on that one. Or anytime as we're talking about other things this morning. Chris Crock in for Dan Proft. Hey, if you want to follow me on social media, everything I'm talking about, the news coverage, audio, all sorts of stuff, is on my Twitter feed, at Chris Crock Show. That's at Chris Crock Show, ChrisKrok. Also on Facebook, Rumble, etc., YouTube. Okay. So, Russiagate. Look at this. A single, scant, unclear, and unverifiable fragment of a sentence. Literally, that is what allowed the Russia crap to be put in there, according to a new, it's a lot of reports that came out yesterday, including Real Clear Investigations, where I'm reading this from. Here we go. The claim that Putin authorized dirty tricks to try to help Trump was based on, quote, one scant, unclear, and unverifiable fragment of a sentence from one of the substandard intelligence reports. Guess where this fragmented sentence came from that Brennan and Clapper and Comey put into this fake intelligence community assessment, ICA. They got that fragmented half of a sentence that provided justification for saying that Putin was doing this from some Russian defector living in Northern Virginia who describes himself as anti-Trump, merely speculating to Brennan. Can you believe this? Some clown who defected from Russia living in Northern Virginia said, he speculated saying, Putin is counting on Trump winning. Okay, how do you know that? Well, I don't like Trump, but I live in Northern Virginia and I'm a defector, so that's what I say. So this is a fragment of a sentence from some guy who has, as far as we know, no knowledge of what's going on there. They're literally grabbing anything from anywhere to try to take down the Trump administration in his first term. This is your government. This is your coup, soft coup, years-long coup, whatever you want to call it, put together by Barack Hussein Obama. The report also says this. Okay, and then there's a congressional review of this intelligence community assessment, the fake Russia crap. Congressional Review report says, quote, the ICA judgment of Putin's thoughts about helping candidate Trump does not stand if Brennan's single interpretation of the fragment from quote, from what Putin was counting on Trump winning, the whole thing falls apart because there's no other intelligence corroborating it. So some clown living in North Virginia makes up or says some stupid thing thinking that Putin wants to put Trump in there, and that's how they justify it with that stupid half sentence from some clown living in Northern Virginia. So, I mean, you literally, and then there's a Steele dossier, which we know has nothing in it but fake stuff, all fake, from Fusion GPS. I just saw yesterday, too, from the Federalist, that former President Hussein Obama, like 7 or 8, was it 900? I think it was $900 million, almost $1 million, $900,000, excuse me, almost $1 million, from the Obama campaign was sent to Perkins Coie and Fusion GPS. And so there's speculation that Obama may have helped fund the Fusion GPS stuff with Hillary. That came out in the Federalist yesterday. Now, I want to say something else about this, too, because some people have heard with Tulsi Gabbard saying it's treason. And some people think that's not treason. They have their own view of what treason is. Well, look at this. Here is the definition of treason. The betrayal of allegiance toward one's own country, especially by committing hostile acts against it. So what do you think? Do you think that what Barack Hussein Obama did, taking the intelligence community assessment, the presidential daily briefing, and saying, you know what, I, as the president, am reordering this, Brennan, Clapper, Comey, with Peter Strzok et al., you guys go back and you pull some fake Russian crap together to undermine Trump so that we can destroy his presidency and get him impeached and throw him out. He cannot be in. The American people cannot have their way. Is that a betrayal of allegiance toward one's own country? Yes. You bet it is. Because our country, us, picked Trump. And Obama made up fake crap to try to take away our president. And especially by committing hostile acts against its own country, it says here the definition of treason. And this certainly was a hostile act against our country. making up fake crap about the incoming president. Here's another definition of treason. They have a couple, every definition has a few different things. Here's another one. The offense of attempting to overthrow the government of the state to which the offender owes allegiance. So, yes, attempting to overthrow the government to which the offender owes allegiance. So Barack Hussein Obama attempted to overthrow our government, our president that was incoming, against the allegiance of his own country. It's disloyalty and treachery, it also says in the definition. So absolutely this was treason. It sounded really, really heavy, but absolutely it is treason. 312-642-5600 is our number, 312-642-5600. Meantime, yesterday, fake news CNN host Brianna Keeler beclowned herself once again by claiming that Tulsi Gabbard, all the stuff that she laid out, were part of Trump's efforts to, quote, change the topic from questions about the Epstein files. Yes, that's why we're releasing this. It's not that a whole team was put together to go through all these files, including these top secret vaults for the CIA, where Adam Schiff put this crap in a top secret vault, buried it so that we wouldn't be able to find it, spent, 6 months? DOJ spent 6 months under the behest, or at the behest of Tulsi Gabbard, and found this stuff, and they're releasing it. More to come, and stuff keeps coming out. Yes, they just happened to release it now because of Epstein. Epstein! Ladies and gentlemen, Epstein. I have Epstein for sale. Who wants to buy Epstein? Don't look at Russiagate. And then you're having a lot of the Democrats, at least some of them, laugh it off. Not James Clapper. He's not, laughing it off at all. Absolutely not. Let's see. I have a little bit of audio, I believe, of him, because he is lawyering up, as you would imagine, and he should, because he has a very good chance of going to jail. Here he is on Fake News CNN, James Clapper, former D9.
And I take seriously when the President of the United States accuses me of being a participant in a treasonous conspiracy, which is ridiculous.
Yeah, what's your reaction to that?
It's ridiculous. It is untrue.
So what will you do if they come after you? What is your plan?
Well, I'll lawyer up, I suppose. Already have.
You've already hired attorneys in anticipation that this Trump Justice Department could try to prosecute you.
We've had sort of perpetual attorneys since I left the government in 2017.
So he is afraid, and he should be afraid. Jonathan Turley, Fox News chief legal analyst, and of course a George Washington University professor at the School of Law. If this will play, there we go.
And it does appear that a couple of these figures may have committed perjury. I think the most vulnerable may be Brennan, who's like a 30-point buck now out in the open. I mean, this stuff goes directly to information that he gave to Congress. It seems to be in contradiction. And so there are real questions here. I mean, people talk about, well, you can't charge Obama. That's very likely the case. He's probably protected. But these individuals, whether it's Comey or Brennan, are not protected from perjury charges if the statute of limitations has not run. They are more likely to be called again to repeat prior testimony.
So should these people go to jail? Yes. Should they be arrested? Yes. They made a bunch of crap up to try to destroy our president in 2016. That is the full case. And then this great gem comes out. Don't you love this one? This is so awesome with Hillary Clinton. I call her the lozenge lizard. Remember everywhere she went, she was going, the lozenge lizard. And do you remember when the lozenge lizard, I'd say lozenge, not lozenge, just whatever I could do to make fun of that woman. Lozenge lizard. Remember when she was trying to stand up and get inside of a van after the 9/11 ceremonies? That video has been making the rounds again on Twitter, which I retweeted yesterday or last night when I was getting ready for this morning's show. I mean, it is terrible. That woman can't even stand. Even with people coming around her and holding her up, she could not stand. Well, here we have this one. I'm sure you've heard it by now, but we have to share it again. Russia allegedly had intelligence suggesting former Secretary of State Hillary Clinton, the lozenge lizard, was taking heavy tranquilizers. She was tranked. She was taking kitty tranks. or no, should we say elephant tranks? I don't know. Which former President Hussein Obama and Democrat Party's leaders found it to be extremely alarming. Yes, that poor miserable woman. And by the way, Russia had the compromise on her reportedly. They had the goods on it, but they never shared it because they wanted Hillary Clinton to win. And I read in one of these many articles I dug into further last night, one of the other things they said, too, is they could hold, Putin wanted her to win, knew she'd be better than Trump. And number two, they could hold these compromising materials, compromat or intel, until they wanted to use it to perhaps blackmail her or get her what they wanted her to do. Hey, we'll tell everybody about your tranks, among many other things. Do you think it's treason? I sure do. 312-642-5600 is our number, 312-642-5600. Subverting the will of the American people. Absolutely correct. It is treasonous. I want to get into this, too. This is a lot of fun. A lot of fun what Trump did. I don't know if you caught this. What Trump did when he took Powell, he had Jerome Powell meet him at the Fed headquarters in D.C. and take a tour. And the most funniest thing happened yesterday in front of the cameras with Trump. A couple of pieces of sound I want you to hear. He's asked, what will you do? What would you do if you were the project manager of this project that is way over budget and way late? So classic. All that's coming up next. This is Chris Kroc in for Dan Proft on AM 560, The Answer.
This is Chicago's Morning Answer.
Your show keeps me alive during the week. There's nobody I'd rather listen to between 5 and 9 in the morning than you guys.
On AM 560, The Answer. Sign up for the AM 560 Answer Advantage to get early alerts on event ticket sales, special discounts, and contest opportunities. Sign up today at 560theanswer.com/advantage. Salem News Channel is America's fastest growing conservative TV network.
It's an absolute crazy day.
Home to the largest lineup of free speech champions anywhere, delivering in-depth insight and unapologetic opinion on today's biggest news stories.
Americans aren't going to put up with this anymore.
SNC brings you the news that matters, told with integrity and clarity. Watch Salem News Channel free 24/7 on your television. Stream now on Samsung TV Plus, channel 1177. Sign up for the AM 560 Answer Advantage to get early alerts on event ticket sales, special discounts, and contest opportunities. Sign up today at 560theanswer.com/advantage.
This is Ed Morrissey of HotAir.com for Town Hall. In the end, Columbia University chose to do the right thing, but only after almost every other option got exhausted. After abdicating authority for months while agitators targeted Jewish students and faculty for intimidation, the Trump administration suspended access to nearly $500 million in federal funds. Columbia finally threw in the towel this week. First, they suspended or expelled dozens of students that seized and vandalized the library in May. Then they agreed to pay more than $220 million to settle enforcement actions from the Department of Education, agreed to end its DEI policies on admissions and hiring, and agreed to a federal monitor to oversee the implementation of the agreement. That's an expensive capitulation. It gives Donald Trump a key victory in his efforts to reform higher education while sending a loud signal to other higher ed institutions that refuse to protect Jewish students and faculty. Is Harvard listening? And are they learning? I'm Ed Morrissey.
AM 560, The Answer.
Oh, this is bringing back memories. This one at Marriott's Great America, not Six Flags. That was an abomination the day that happened. Do you remember that, Justin Quinn? Justin, you might be a little young. Dude, I used to live at that time in Lindenhurst, and so we had season passes because we're like, 15 minutes from there? Marriott's Great America. It should always be that. It always was. Same thing with Marshall Fields, not this crap, as we all know, with Macy's. Oh, it's terrible. Dave, you wanted to jump in here on the Russia lies, everything that has been exposed so far. You're in Milwaukee on AM 560, The Answer. Chris and for Dan. Hello.
Yes. Hi. I am so glad to hear that these people are finally going to be, coming to justice, because us regular folks, we're tired of watching all this. These people are implicated. You can see they're guilty, but nothing ever happens. So I think the Justice Department has finally got enough stones to do something. There's one other thing.
Yeah, and they're finally they're going into places where Adam Schiff literally buried it into a freaking CIA vault. And that's why it takes months and months and months to get this crap. It is it is absolutely egregious. It is absolutely disgusting. It's
there's
incredible.
one other thing I wanted to say. Okay, the people high up in the media and the people like Brennan and Comey and these others, I want the IRS to look around to, where they're getting bribed, because they're getting bribed. And, it could be a cousin, a brother-in-law, anywhere. But I want the IRS to really look around and find out how they're getting bribed.
I appreciate your call, my friend. Look forward to your next call on AM 560, The Answer. Thank you very much. Hey, Trump grabbed Powell, said, meet me at the Fed. And they did a tour, and Trump just manhandled him during certain times and was gentle during other times. Here he is yesterday at the project.
As a real estate developer, what would you do with a project manager who would be over budget?
Generally speaking, what would I do? I'd fire him.
Do you think this is... Yeah! A little bit more on that coming up next. Hey, your ComEd bills are soaring. Why? I'll tell you coming up next on AM 560, The Answer, WIND, Chicago.
She has more to say. I'm Dave Anthony, Fox News. Ghislaine Maxwell will again talk with Deputy Attorney General Todd Blanche today in the Jeffrey Epstein controversy amid a push for files and clients in his sex trafficking of underage girls scheme that she was involved in. Her attorney David Marcus says
she answered all the questions truthfully, honestly, and to the best of her ability.
Telling reporters Blanche took a full day and asked a lot of questions, explaining Maxwell never stopped and never invoked a privilege. Maxwell was convicted in 2021 of charges including sex trafficking. The former girlfriend and associate of late convicted sex offender Jeffrey Epstein is serving a 20-year sentence at a federal prison in Tallahassee, Florida.
That's Fox's Kristen Goodwin. The House Oversight Committee is also planning to interview Maxwell. Yesterday, the Republican-led panel talked to ex-Biden White House Chief of Staff Ron Klain in their investigation into the former president's mental fitness and if a cognitive decline was covered up. Klain told lawmakers that he'd gotten less energetic and more forgetful, but he thought the president could still do the job.
Klain was brought back to help Biden prep before the now infamous debate back in June 2024. Klain said Biden appeared tired and ill, but he had no knowledge of him taking Ambien. This week, Hunter Biden blamed his father's performance on the sleeping pill.
Fox's Madeline Rivera. A new round of ceasefire talks trying to halt Israel's war in Gaza have gone nowhere. The U.S. cut them short. Special Envoy Steve Witkoff blames Hamas, saying it's showing a lack of desire to make a deal. At least 15 people are dead as Thailand and Cambodia do battle.
Tens of thousands of people have fled areas near the border. It's been disputed since 1907. This is the deadliest fighting since a flare-up in 2011. Thailand's acting Prime Minister, Pachara Kangwatmai, translated here.
As I have said, the situation has intensified and could escalate into a state of war.
Border crossings were sealed, and the two countries withdrew their ambassadors after a Thai soldier lost his leg in a landmine explosion Wednesday.
That's Fox's Chris Foster. America's listening to Fox News.
Good morning. It's 76 degrees in Chicago. In the AM 560 The Answer newsroom, I'm Nikki Whaley. Community members are weighing in on how Chicago Public Schools should address a $734 million budget deficit. CPS Chief Budget Officer Michael Sikowski revealed the results of community feedback sessions by CPS to the Chicago Board of Education yesterday.
The main themes that we heard across our communities were, one, to work with the state and the city to secure additional dedicated revenue. Second, to avoid cuts to schools or programs that would hurt students' education.
About 77% of forum participants said that the district shouldn't borrow money to avoid making cuts. The district needs to release a final budget by August 13th. Mayor Brandon Johnson isn't planning to propose a property tax increase to fill a massive gap in this year's budget.
Well, I will not be proposing a property tax increase in my budget. I'm going to continue to work hard to find progressive revenue.
The city faces a $1.2 billion budget deficit in 2026. Johnson proposed a $300 million property tax hike last year. However, the city council unanimously rejected it. A fire alarm at a suburban facility is blamed for briefly halting mainline United Airline flights nationwide. Officials say the FAA issued a ground stop last night after a fire alarm happened at the airline's Network Operations Center in Arlington Heights. The ground stop was lifted around an hour later. News is a service of AlmostFreeTeeth.com. Overpaying for dental implants is over. If you have a Blue Cross Blue Shield PPO or FEP, you could save 90% off on average to get your smile back. Learn more and check if you qualify at AlmostFreeTeeth.com. A check of the roads coming up in 2 minutes on AM 560, The Answer.
Join John Anthony, host of Black and Right, for a cruise on Lake Michigan, Saturday, September 6th. Come aboard the luxury yacht Free Spirit for a fun afternoon with fellow AM 560 listeners. Enjoy great food and beverages and be a part of the live broadcast of Black and Right with John Anthony. Tickets are on sale now at 560theanswer.com/cruise. That's 560theanswer.com/cruise.
ZipRecruiter is the place. ZipRecruiter is the place for talented teachers, savvy software developers, and master mixologists. ZipRecruiter is the place where you meet all these people and more. That's because ZipRecruiter is the place for job seekers who are looking for new opportunities. In fact, ZipRecruiter helps 10 million people with their job search every day, so you can find the right candidates right away. It's no wonder that ZipRecruiter is the place for skilled skydiving instructors, accomplished airbrush artists, and proficient pediatricians. But if you're not using ZipRecruiter to hire, you're missing out. ZipRecruiter is the place that's so confident it can make your hiring easier that it lets you try it for free at ZipRecruiter.com/free. So if you want the right candidates for all your roles, ZipRecruiter is the place to go. Try it for free at ZipRecruiter.com/free. That's ZipRecruiter.com/free. Never miss out on great candidates with ZipRecruiter.
Hey, it's Sean Thompson here for Level 10 Coating. You've been hearing the ads on AM 560 for months. Listeners love the product. Shiny new garage floors. And here's the thing. If you grow up in Chicago, you know a garage isn't just for parking cars. It's a sanctuary for yourself. Sometimes you could throw a kid's party there. Sometimes you can watch a game with your friends. But it doesn't have to be a cracked, dry, ugly cement floor with all dust on it. It can be a product you love. That's what Level 10 Coating delivers. Level 10 Coatings makes it someplace you'll want to be all the time. Level 10 Coatings, you can call now for a free quote at 855-510-2628. The number again, 855-510-2628. It's not just garage floors either. It's anywhere you want to make the cement feel more than cement at level10coatings.com. That's level, the number 10, coatings.com.
Big or small, we coat them all. Level 10 Coatings, your custom concrete coating solution.
From the Team Hochberg Traffic Center, I'm Nikki Whaley. On the Edens inbound from Lake Cook to Montrose, 15 minutes. Outbound is about 13 minutes. On the Kennedy inbound from Montrose to the Byrne Interchange, 9 minutes. Outbound is 11 minutes. On the Eisenhower inbound from Wolf to the Old Post Office, 13 minutes. Outbound, 14 minutes. On the Stevenson inbound from the Tri-State to Lakeshore Drive, 18 minutes. Outbound is 15 minutes. On the Dan Ryan inbound from 95th to the Byrne Interchange, 15 minutes. On the outbound side is about 10 minutes. Traffic is a service of Team Hochberg. They've helped thousands of AM 560 listeners with the best rates and service. Let Team Hochberg help you by visiting 56david.com or call 855-563-2843. That's 56david.com. Lower.com, equal housing lender, NMLS 1124061. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next, but now check your forecast from the National Weather Service.
Today will be mostly cloudy, not as warm, but humid with a few showers and a heavy thunderstorm, which may lead to flash flooding. The high will reach 80. Tonight stays cloudy, warm, and humid with a couple of heavy thunderstorms. There's a risk of significant flash flooding, so be cautious of rapidly rising water. The low will be around 72. I'm meteorologist Jason Caterina on AM 560, The Answer.
Get the latest weather, traffic, and news updates online at 560theanswer.com. Now, from the Signature Bank Studios, this is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft on AM 560, The Answer.
AM 560, The Answer, Chicago's Morning Answer. Chris Kroc filling in for Dan Proft. He is back on Monday. I got a little bit more on Trump going to the Fed's headquarters under construction and how he just totally schools Fed Chairman Jerome Powell. This is nothing like this. It's a great ride. It is an absolute great ride. Here is Trump. I'm gonna replay the first part from the last segment, and then we'll play the other one real fast before we get into. I don't know if you noticed a big jump on your ComEd bill. Oh, I can't wait to get into that. Here's Trump with Jerome Powell.
As a real estate developer, what would you do with a project manager who would be over budget?
Generally speaking, what would I do? I'd fire him.
Do you think this issue, Mr. President, gives you cause to do that?
Well, I'm here just really with the chairman. He's showing us around, showing us the work. And so I don't want to get that. I don't want to be personal. I just would like to see it get finished. And in many ways, it's too bad it started. But it did start. And it's been under construction for a long time. It's going to be a real long time because it looks like it's got a long way to go.
It's a mark of class. He's got huevos the size of church bells, but he's also not going to be a jerk to this guy right in front of this. I like how he handled that. But here he is with another piece of audio from Trump and Jerome Powell yesterday. This one's absolutely fantastic as well.
So we're taking a look, and
by the way, you can hear Jerome Powell standing right next to Trump go back and forth and back and forth. Trump's going to pull out a letter that shows he's right and that Powell's wrong, but Powell will not let it go. This is so great. It's back and forth in front of the media, the Fed chair with President Trump.
It looks like it's about $3.1 billion. It went up a little bit, or a lot. So the 2.7 is now 3.1.
I'm not aware of that.
Yeah, it just came out.
Yeah, I haven't heard that from anybody at the Fed.
Yeah, it just came out.
Oh, I haven't heard. Wait, he goes back and forth. This is such a riot.
Our notes had it about 3.1 as well.
3.1,
3.2. This came from us?
Yes. I don't know who does that.
You're including the Martin renovation. You just added
our entire capital.
Yeah, you just added in a third building. Is what that is. That's a third building.
Well, no, but it's a building that's being built.
No, it was built 5 years ago. We finished Martin 5 years ago.
It's part of the overall work.
But it's not new.
So we're going to take a look. We're going to see what's happening, and it's got a long way. Do you expect any more additional cost overruns?
Don't expect them. We're ready for them. But we have a little bit of a reserve that we may use. But no, we don't. We expect to be finished in 2027. We're well along, as you can see.
Nice to take these off every once in a while.
All right.
When we're not under too much.
Taking off their hard hats. But that was just so awesome, the back and forth. And by the way, the fake news asked a little bit later that day, a couple of the Trump officials involved in this realm of the administration, and they said, well, that wasn't part of the project. And the guy just schooled him. It is. The project included that building. The bid on how much this whole project would cost is blank, and the project it was $1.9 billion projected for the price tag to renovate the Fed headquarters, that area, and that building, among others. And so the number that went from $1.9 billion, and then it was at $2.7 billion. However, now we're looking at $3.1 billion. So you're literally adding $2.2 billion to the cost. I'm sorry, you're adding $1.2 billion to the cost. No big deal. It's a rounding error. I'm the head of the Fed. Hold my beer. I got this. 312-642-5600 is our number. 312-642-5600. When you want to talk about energy and the grid, I have a lot to say. Now, I'm a Chicago born in the city, proud, raised in the burbs. Everybody's now back in the city in my family. But my radio career took me to Dallas eventually, where I'm talking to you from right now. And in Texas, you probably remember about 2-3 years ago, our grid almost collapsed. And it literally is so intertwined with what's going on in Illinois right now. Interesting, by the way, the Chicago Tribune continues to mention Texas. They were quoting our governor, my governor down here, Governor Greg Abbott, and praising him for how he has handled some things on budget deficits and taxes, and saying that Pritzker should take note. But the grid, soaring ComEd bills have us all on edge, says Chicago Tribune editorial board. Springfield must confront our electricity woes. So as of June 1st, you, if you live in the Chicagoland area, are paying $67.28 more for the same electric bill that you had last year. Why? That's the average that the average Chicagoland person is paying on their bill from last year. Because Pritzker spearheaded the 2021 Climate and Equitable Jobs Act. Ooh, equity. Ooh. We love equity, don't we? Yeah. Okay, the Climate and Equitable Jobs Act, CEJA, was, as the Tribune says, a monumental reordering of the state's power industry, phasing out all carbon-emitting sources such as coal and natural gas no later than 2050. If you're an energy company, are you going to keep putting money into a system that is not going to be operable in 25 years? Are you going to build new plants that won't be operable in 25 years? With the state of Illinois continuously hiring Democrats to destroy their city, to destroy their grid, to destroy the state? No. So they're decommissioning these plants when they get closer and closer to be needing some massive repairs or replacement, etc. In short, this Climate and Equitable Jobs Act, that the Tribune's editorial board says, was an audacious bid by a governor with presidential ambitions to boost the nation's most progressive clean energy statute. So there's why you're screwed. That and these data centers, AI crap, whatever, taking tons of electricity off the grid. But this grid in the state of Illinois, what little I know about it, is in a bad way. And let me read a little bit more from their editorial. The mandates from this Climate and Equitable Jobs Act appear overly inflexible, the Tribune says, in light of legitimate concerns about whether enough power will be available during heat waves, which we just had one, right, in Chicagoland, during heat waves and cold snaps, especially once more of the many planned data centers being built. Prices are not soaring for no reason, they say. When demand begins to outstrip supply, prices go up. No crap, right? And so the supply continues to dwindle because the green crap that Pritzker keeps pushing through. In fact, look at this from the Tribune. Speaking earlier this week at the climate conference in Chicago, Pritzker said, "We've got legislation that's teed up. See, we're going to fix this. Oh, it includes energy storage. It includes expanding the opportunity within solar and wind. And there are ways we can look to tweak the already really, really great Climate and Equitable Jobs Act." There he is polishing a turd, as it were. Here's the problem. And I'll read a little bit more for the Tribune, though. The bill will further increase costs for taxpayers, they say, for ratepayers, excuse me. The bill will further increase costs for ratepayers in order to incentivize favored energy technologies. What is that? Solar and wind. The reason why the Texas grid almost collapsed 3-4 years ago during that storm we had is one reason. And it's almost it's exactly what you've been doing in Illinois that they did in Texas. Ready? taking federal subsidies, or in this case, Pritzker mandating the phasing out of fossil fuels, which is a huge mistake, and instead switching it to wind and solar. So in Texas, the grid has been bastardized by federal subsidies. When an energy company comes in and they're going to build a new plant in Texas or in Illinois, Chicagoland, when they come in and they're going to build a plant, they don't care, these energy companies, if they're making coal, natural gas, or wind and solar. They just want to make money. When you have the federal government bastardizing and incentivizing these energy companies to, instead, they're financing, they're funding, and giving incentivizations, financial ones, to build more windmills and more solar panels. What happened in Texas was the wind wasn't blowing and the sun wasn't shining. And you can look at the Wall Street Journal had a great grid, a grid, not a grid, but a bar graph or whatever, and it showed exactly where each energy was going in the lead up to and during the storm and afterwards. And you see nuclear is always the same. It's like maybe 10, 20, it's probably 10% of the grid, and it's always humming along. It can't go up. You can't turn up nuclear to 11, okay? Second of all, wind and solar went from literally 20 to 30% of the grid powered by solar and wind, went from 20 to 30% to nothing. And then the only thing that saved the state of Texas from literally having a grid crash and not having any, this is not an exaggeration, not having any power for anyone in the entire state. We were this close there. Okay? The only thing that saved it was natural gas and coal, but primarily natural gas. You know what they did? They freaking turned it up to 11. Because you can do that with natural gas. You can turn it all the way up to 11. And you can see that natural gas was cranked up 4 or 5 times, maybe even more, of what it was doing. Because you can do that. You can't do that crap with solar and wind. This guy, Pritzker, is screwing you over. This guy, Pritzker, is making energy less available and making you pay more. So that's how the grid in the state of Illinois is being screwed, and you are now paying $67.28 a month on average extra on your bill from last month, from June, as of June 1. What did you get for it? Hey, did you get anything? Did you get any? Do you feel like you got anything? Did you get some extra energy for the extra $68, $67? No. You know what you got? You got a sore butt from this guy bending you over. All right, now let's go to... I just made myself laugh. 312-642-5600 is our number. 312-642-5600. George, you are in Naperville, where my parents used to live at 75 and 111th, I believe it was. Hey, George.
Hey, good morning, Chris. Maybe Trump should pay a visit to the site of the Obama Library. That's turning into a boondoggle. He can kick some butt there and get that going.
You know, I think he would do a great job of it. Unfortunately, though, I believe I'm going to guess it's all private or with the city of Chicago stuff. So I don't know if he could do anything, but I would absolutely love that too.
Well, you know how he loves Obama.
Oh yeah, Trump. Oh, he absolutely loves Obama. He loves the man that
help him.
I think he want to help him get put in jail.
No kidding.
Yeah, exactly, and he should. Yeah, absolutely, brother. I appreciate your call. I'll see you at the Hussein Obama Library with Mrs. Hussein Obama. Michael. Hey, Brock, pull over. I got to go to the bathroom. I need a urinal. 312-642-5600 is our number. 312-642-5600. Chris, of course, in for Dan. Hey, Open Mic Friday is coming up at 8:25, and I'm going to go just as nuts as you. We're going to have a lot of fun at 8:25. Do not miss that. We can call in. You can call right now, too, at 312-642-5600. But don't miss Open Mic Friday coming up at 8:25 this morning. I want to also add this one into you, with you. This is so ridiculous and funny. It reminds me of something when I took a cruise on Lake Michigan with my beautiful wife. It was, and in fact, I'll give you the quick story on that. I interned in New York City at a radio station, talk radio station, WABC, and I also interned at Dateline NBC. Dateline! And so there I was in New York City. And afterwards, I went back home to Chicagoland and Western Illinois University, where I was at school at the time. And then my first job out of college was in the Quad Cities at a TV station in January 96. And I didn't like it there. Fast forward 3 or 4 or 5 or 6 months, 6 or 7 months, I got called by NBC to say, hey, would you like to be a runner, that is, peon, would you like to be a runner in our coverage of the Democratic Convention? And that was 96 DNC in Chicago. I'm obviously not a Democrat. I didn't support him. But I was like, wow, I can work with NBC News in my hometown of Chicago and go back home? Yes. So we went back, and I actually worked for them for like 2 months. Favorite story of all time was, this is so great, classic Chicago. 2 things. We had they gave us runners go-karts to drive around. They would send us across the street from the United Center, across the street to this Thugville liquor store. I pull up in the golf cart and get stuff from the liquor store they needed. Not liquor, but, ice or whatever. And one more thing on that real fast. At the very end of the convention, so I worked for 2 months. I worked for 2 or 3 weeks setting up. I worked for that week in the middle, and then another week or two, like 2 or 3 weeks setting up, a week for the convention, and then a week or two afterwards taking it down. And my most favorite story I tell of all time with the NBC's coverage of the DNC in 96 in Chicago was somebody needed some ice. Somebody said, "Give me a bag of ice." So I go over to where the ice machine, the ice, boxes like one you see at a gas station, outside. And I say, "Hey, where's the ice stuff?" And the union guys, "Whoa, you can't go touch that. You need a union guy to do that." So they go, "Hey," I can't remember what the guy's name was. Like, I'll make up a name. "Hey, Mike." And I look over, and Mike, whoever this guy is sitting on a forklift, sleeping, earning his wages, his union wages. And he goes, "Huh, what?" And he wakes up, and he cranks up the forklift that he's sleeping on to use the forklift to get a bag of ice. There's your unions in Chicago. But anyways, after the whole DNC, at the end of that week of the DNC, Tom Brokaw, remember Tom Brokaw? Tom Brokaw, we got, NBC had a cruise for us, okay? All the cruises you can do on Lake Michigan. And so NBC says, we're going to have you guys, all you guys that worked on the DNC for NBC, you're going to go on this cruise on Lake Michigan. So we're all loading up on the boat. I forged my second ticket for my wife's, because I had a ticket to get on, so I made up a fake one. And she likes to tell a story. We're about to get on the boat to cruise Lake Michigan with these NBC people. And I told her right before we went up, like, that ticket's fake, just so you know. She was so pissed at me. But we got on the boat. And we had to wait for Tom Brokaw. We literally had to wait. We literally had like a 15-minute cruise because that bleepity bleep was that late. Everybody's waiting for him. Then he gets on the boat. Everybody starts humping his leg. Me included, because it was back in the day, Anyway, can you imagine on your next cruise that you may take on Lake Michigan, scenic cruise, right? Can you imagine if you had to wear a life jacket? Could you imagine if, you're spiffed up for a nice event on the cruise line or whatever? Can you imagine having to wear a flipping life jacket on you because it's a new law in the city of Chicago? That is what one person, one alderman, has proposed. If you go on a boat of any kind in Lake Michigan, you will wear a life vest. No matter what. And if you can't swim, or if you're not wearing the right life vest, we will fine you $500. Can you imagine the cops pulling you over on a boat? What do you say? Aborting your vessel and demanding to see questioning you, why aren't you wearing your life jacket? I'm going to fine you $500. I'll tell you about this. This story was in NBC5 today. And then also, the city of Chicago is appearing to want to, quote, pimp my homeless shelter. Mayor Johnson wants to pimp out homeless shelters all over the city of Chicago on, of course, our dime. All that's coming up next. Lines wide open if you want to chime in. 312-642-5600 is our number. 312-642-5600. It's Chris Kroc on AM 560, Chicago's Morning Answer.
Before you see it on TV, share it on Facebook, or read about it in the paper. Hear it here first. This is Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer.
Are you turning 65 and thinking about Medicare? Or are you over 65 and haven't enrolled yet because you still have coverage at work? Either way, Medicare done correctly will be the best health insurance you will ever have. Imagine having an annual deductible of only $257. There are only two good things about aging, wisdom and Medicare. But to navigate the Medicare maze properly, you need a mentor. Best part? My guidance costs you nothing. Call me. I can help.
If you're tired of calling a bureaucrat at an 800 number to help you navigate Medicare, then you need a local expert on your side. Your own health insurance mentor. C. Stephen Tucker from healthinsurancementors.com is someone I know and trust. He's a 30-year licensed broker who's been educating our listeners for more than a decade. Steve, how can our listeners get in touch with you?
Thanks, Dan. They can visit healthinsurancementors.com or call me directly at 630-674-1551. That's 630-674-1551.
Signature Bank is Chicago's fastest growing independently owned business bank, a bank where relationships still matter. Signature Bank knows your name and your story. I'm Dan Proft, and I know this because Signature Bank is my business bank.
Hi, I'm Bob Chivato, owner of Go Exceed and a customer of Signature Bank. By leveraging AI and machine learning, we provide data management solutions for corporations to save time and money managing their cellular devices. While we rely on machines to help us run our business, we believe personal relationships are essential. This is why we chose Signature Bank. Having a banking partner who understands our background, our business, and our priorities is fundamental to our success. Any bank can provide basic services, but having a bank that you can trust, one that looks out for you and treats your business like its own, that's irreplaceable.
Signature Bank helps local businesses succeed. Want to learn how Signature Bank can help turn your business vision into reality? Call Signature Bank at 773-467-5600 or visit signaturebank.bank. Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
Networks, streaming services, retail chains, and tech giants are all adding plus to their names. But where did the concept originate? We may be biased, but we think these big wigs found their inspiration for plus at Hassellus Mattress. Hassellus showrooms are employee-free. Give your mattress a try with no pushy sales guy. Plus, our 35 beds from the top 5 brands start at $393. Plus, unbeatable prices on Tempur-Pedic. Plus, free next-day delivery and setup. Plus, free haul away and disposal of your old mattress. Plus, 60-month interest-free financing on select Tempur-Pedic with approved credit. Plus, a $300 MasterCard gift card with your Tempur-Pedic mattress. Plus, a ruggedly handsome spokesman with a smooth radio voice. Get all this, plus a whole lot more when you shop at Hassellus Mattress. Or maybe we should change our name to Hassellus Plus. Nah. Open 9 to 9. Find an employee-free showroom near you or shop online at hassellus.com.
Too often, cremated remains are kept at home, then forgotten. At Queen of Heaven Cemetery in Hillside, we have your cremation options. Come visit our new cremation garden, see our beautiful granite columbariums, or view our elegant indoor glass front niches. These offer sacred, lasting ways to honor your loved one. If cremation is your choice, our memorialization is a forever option. Give them the dignity of a permanent resting place where they'll be remembered for generations. Visit us today, CatholicCemeteriesChicago.org.
AM 560, The Answer.
All right. Chris Crockett for Dan Proft. Dan's back on Monday. AM 560, The Answer, Chicago's Morning Answer. So this alderwoman, Stephanie Coleman, 16th Ward, because somebody drowned late last month and I guess couldn't swim, she now wants every single one of us, if we're ever on any boat whatsoever, on the Chicago River, on Lake Michigan, on a cruise, doesn't matter, to wear a stupid life jacket. The law says in Illinois that if you're 13 and under, you got to wear a life jacket. But now this alderwoman, because one person drowned last month, wants all of us to be forced to wear a life jacket. Even if you're in like a tux or a suit, or, you know, like when I was on the cruise I mentioned back at the Democrat convention in '96 when I was working for NBC News. Can you see me and you hanging out, my wife, Tom Brokaw at the time, we're all standing on a boat, and we're wearing life jackets over our nice clothes because of this idiot. And some of the comments on this story from NBC5. How do you make sure that the person is using the proper type of life preserver? How do we educate people and passengers getting on the boat owners and charter companies? That's what I'm saying. You're on a charter, and all of a sudden you're wearing a stupid life jacket. Get out of here. And she'll fine you if you're not wearing one. I'm coming for you. And they mentioned something about she says if you do not have swimming experience, then you have to agree to wear a floating device like a life vest. So if I don't have swimming experience, are you gonna if the cops come roll up on me on my boat and I'm not wearing a life jacket, do I have to jump in the freaking Lake Michigan and swim with the cohos to prove that I don't need a life jacket, or else I'll get fined $500? Get out of here. And now this. City to invest $40 million to modernize homeless shelters. Wait a minute. I'm calling it Pimp My Shelter. I'll tell you why coming up next. And also, listen closer to this one, because, what is he, 6% approval rating, 7%, Mayor Johnson? He says that having a house, or having housing, I should say, having housing is a fundamental human right. Having housing is a fundamental human right. Do you actually believe that? Do you believe that you and I and every human being has a right to have housing? Is that a right? Is that in our Constitution? If you're a bum and you choose to not work, or if you choose to stay high on drugs because that's what you want to do, or not take your meds and so you end up homeless, is it a fundamental right for you to have shelter, to have a home to go to? 312-642-5600. I have so much to say about that coming up next. But right now, it's time for the news with Nikki Whaley.
Good morning. It's 76 degrees in Chicago in the AM 560 The Answer newsroom. I'm Nikki Whaley. President Trump's approval rating is hitting the lowest level of his second term.
According to a new Gallup poll, 37% of respondents say they approve of the president's performance, which marks a 10-point drop since he took office in January. Polling results found Trump's declining job approval rating to be the most acute among independents, as his approval among that demographic has dropped 17 points since January. The latest survey began shortly after the president signed his massive tax and spending bill into law earlier this month. I'm Mark Mayfield.
The feds are warning corporate America to do their due diligence to avoid worker fraud.
Interim U.S. Attorney for the District of Columbia, Jeanine Pirro, discussed a case Thursday involving an Arizona woman who helped hundreds of North Korean IT workers illegally get remote jobs at American companies.
This is a code red. Your tech sectors are being infiltrated by North Korea.
Pirro said Christina Chapman enabled the network of North Korean workers to generate $17 million in revenue that went back to North Korea. I'm Brian Shook.
News is a service of AlmostFreeTeeth.com. Overpaying for dental implants is over. If you have a Blue Cross Blue Shield PPO or FEP, you could save 90% off on average to get your smile back. Learn more and check if you qualify at AlmostFreeTeeth.com. A check of the roads coming up in 2 minutes on AM 560 The Answer.
The biggest AM 560 event of the year is coming to Gobert's Farm in Pingree Grove on Friday, August 22nd. It's Sean Fest 2025. Join hundreds of fellow AM 560 listeners for the summer's best party. Be a part of the on-location broadcast with Sean Thompson, followed by live music, photo opportunities, food and dessert trucks, and it's all free. Registration is requested at 560theanswer.com/SeanFest. That's 560theanswer.com/SHAUNFEST.
You need a construction company, but who?
Paul Price
Croscom. A construction company you can trust that shares your Christian and conservative values. For decades, Croscom has been doing work in Chicagoland, Northwest Indiana, and Wisconsin. Roofs, siding, windows, doors, gutters, basically everything for your home or business, even solar. Quality work and professional services that make you feel great about your decision to work with Croscom.
Call Croscom.
630-871-5500. Give them a chance to earn your business. If your repairs are due to storm, fire, or flood damage, you need to
call Croscom.
They're licensed public adjusters. They work for you, not the insurance company. Croscom will work to get you the money you deserve, the maximum payout. They know the insurance companies and how to deal with them. They win for you.
Call Croscom.
Croscom Construction and Public Adjusters.
This is Dan Lights with Croscom. You can trust us with your home or business for high-quality work and fair prices. It's the only way we do business.
630-871-5500. CroscomPublicAdjusters.com.
Do you owe $10,000 or more in credit card debt or personal loans? With credit card debt at all-time highs, Debt Relief Advocates is urgently notifying consumers of debt relief now being made available, designed to aid consumers with out-of-control credit card debt. Those who qualify and enroll for this relief program will only have to pay back a fraction of what they owe. This is not bankruptcy or a debt consolidation loan. This is a relief program that credit card companies would rather you not know about, as it ends your debt nightmare and saves you lots of money. Consumers owing at least $10,000 in credit card debt or personal loans can now take advantage of this debt relief as the cost of living skyrockets. Debt Relief Advocates has established a relief hotline for you to call to learn what debt reduction you may qualify for. For this free information, call 800-422-1609, 800-422-1609, 800-422-1609, or simply visit godra.com.
Viking, dedicated to creating travel experiences for the thinking person, with programs designed for cultural enrichment on board and on shore. Discover more at Viking.com.
From the Team Hawkberg Traffic Center, I'm Nikki Whaley. On the Edens inbound from Lake Cook to Montrose, 15 minutes. Outbound is about 13 minutes. On the Kennedy inbound from Montrose to the Byrne Interchange, 9 minutes. Outbound is 11 minutes. On the Eisenhower inbound from Wolf to the Old Post Office, 13 minutes. Outbound, 14 minutes. On the Stevenson inbound from the Tri-State to Lakeshore Drive, 18 minutes. Outbound is 15 minutes. On the Dan Ryan inbound from 95th to the Byrne Interchange, 15 minutes. On the outbound side is about 10 minutes. Traffic is a service of almostfreeteeth.com. Overpaying for dental implants is over. If you have a Blue Cross Blue Shield PPO or FEP, you could save 90% off on average to get your smile back. Learn more and check if you qualify at almostfreeteeth.com. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next, but now a check of your forecast from the National Weather Service.
Today will be mostly cloudy, not as warm, but humid with a few showers and a heavy thunderstorm, which may lead to flash flooding. Expect a high of 80. Tonight stays cloudy, warm, and humid with a couple of intense thunderstorms, increasing the risk of significant flash flooding. Be cautious of rapidly rising water. The low will be 72. I'm meteorologist Jason Caterina on AM 560, The Answer.
Get the latest weather, traffic, and news updates online at 560theanswer.com. Now, from the Signature Bank Studios, only the biggest stories, only the biggest guests, and only the biggest opinions. This is AM 560, The Answer.
Oh, yeah. Chris Crock, AM 560, The Answer, Chicago's Morning Answer. Dan Proft back on Monday. You can follow me on social media, at Chris Crock Show. That's at Chris Crock Show. Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, on all the other ones too. CHRISKROK. 312-642-5600 is our number. 312-642-5600. Don't forget, Open Mic Friday is coming up at 8:25. Go nuts, call in, and let the chips fall where they may. Craziness, and I'm all about craziness and pandemonium. Absolutely, just ask my wife. Absolutely. Okay. City of Chicago to invest $40 million to modernize shelters. Pimp my shelter. Pimp my homeless shelter. I wonder if they're going to give them Wi-Fi and charging stations. Listen, and by the way, obviously we all support homeless shelters when something happens to somebody or if it's freezing outside, all sorts of stuff. But here's the thing. the majority of folks that are in these situations are there because they choose to stay where they're at because alcohol, drugs, or mental illness, and they don't want to take their medications. Trump just signed an executive order to, if anybody is in that kind of a state where they're drugged, or psychologically, have disorders, to put them back into, humanely, treatment facilities. Brandon Johnson? No. Listen to this. Brandon Johnson says today this is in the Sun-Times, housing is a fundamental human right. Now, he said his brother died, as you probably heard, from addicted and unhoused, which means homeless. What a stupid game these fools play. Unhoused. I'm a newcomer. No, you're an illegal. I'm unhoused. No, you're homeless. So they want to modernize and dignify shelters. They want to give them private sleeping rooms and a private bathroom. It's a hotel room. I'm sadly envisioning people overdosing in their private sleeping rooms. They're saying this is the joke with these folks, and the mayor. They're saying that we're grounded in lessons learned from the pandemic. Oh, we can't have a large shelter where everybody can see everybody and the staff can supervise everybody. No, they each need their own room and their own bathroom. Couple questions for you. Number one, do you have a right, as Brandon Johnson says, to have a roof over your head? Is that a fundamental right? No, it's not a right. It's not a constitution. If you are a bum, and not everybody that's homeless is a bum, but many of them, most of them are, by choice, or choose to not take their medications or be institutionalized. If you're a bum, are you still entitled? Not entitled. Is it a right for you to have a roof over your head? That'd be like saying it's a right for you to have a certain amount of money in your bank account. It's a right for you to have health care. Those are all lies. You are in the freest, greatest country in the world. We're not perfect, but you are in the freest, greatest country in the world. And so you can get that roof over your head with your efforts, and it's not nearly as hard as these people are trying to make it out to be. So they're really saying, well, COVID, we learned in COVID to not have people congregating together in a shelter. They need each individual rooms. So we need to spend $40 million on this and make you pay for it. Of course, the news came out yesterday. We're probably going to be about, $1 billion short in the Chicago budget. And Mayor Johnson's like, we're not going to raise taxes. And his CFO said, I believe he's the CFO of the city, said, we're going to need to raise taxes. Brandon, we're not. CFO, we're going to. David, you've called in from Winnetka. You are on AM 560, The Answer.
Chris, hey, good morning. I'm going to speak to the homeless thing, but prior to that, this alderwoman, if she's so concerned about Chicago lives and people living, she should be giving us bulletproof vests, not life vests.
Yes! Yes! So, oh, dude, hold on a second. That was so good. You get this. Here, you get a little something right here. There is no more prescient, perfect description of Chicago than what you just said. We don't need life jackets. We need bulletproof vests. Now, we need some help down here. Go ahead, sir.
So I see it differently, the homeless thing, than you do. Okay. I'd like to find the statistic or where, I know drugs and alcohol, obviously, and mental health play into all that. And that's part of the reason why the gun is blamed and not the person who picks up the gun, and that kind of thing.
Gun violence.
But homelessness happens. It's happened to some of my friends. Like, all of a sudden your kid needs braces or this or that, and people were living at least a paycheck ahead. Well, all of a sudden it became a half a paycheck, and then all of a sudden it became a half a paycheck behind, and then a full one behind. So why not take some of that Doge money that is going to, Elon and Donald Trump have so heroically, come up with, and help the citizens a little bit, a tiny bit somewhere here and there, that people that do it that have proven not to be, on drugs or
here's the problem. So you actually do believe, though, that housing is a fundamental right, that we have a right to having a roof over our head?
Well, it's not because we haven't made it that way, but I believe it should. But food in your stomach and home and roof overhead, I think everybody should have that. I just do, yes.
This is why I very gently, disagree with you very strongly, but very gently, because if I choose to stop paying my bills and instead to pursue alcohol 24/7, if I choose to be let me just take out alcohol. If I choose to be a fool with my life, and that leads me to hunger, or that leads me to homelessness. You look at the Bible and what it says in there about people who are not willing. Talk about the ant. The ant, the actual, the insect, doesn't know jack squat, and yet it gathers in the seasons it needs to gather for the times when it needs. There's no harvest, and so you and I. This country, there's no excuse if you're not, there's no excuse if you're not terribly damaged from something that happened in your youth, or, you know what I mean, or traumatized or something. That's different, for example, but there's no excuse to not have a roof over your head if you are capable of working. And it's better for people to starve or to be rained on because they don't have a roof over their head because they're being a fool than it would be to give them a roof over their head. My opinion.
Agreed. If it's up to somebody's device and they choose to be a fool, as you mentioned, or to take a path of drugs, absolutely. If somebody's not, towing the line the right way.
Yeah. Sorry. Go ahead.
No. That was it. Thank you so much. Nice.
Appreciate your call, brother. Great call, Christine. Oh, this is gonna be great, Christine. You are in Rogers Park. You're on AM 560. The Answer. Chris Kroc in for Dan. Hello.
Hi. We have an alderman. In the 49th ward, she and her wife probably make $200,000 combined, and they're living in a low-income housing unit at Pratt and Ashland. And that's a unit that could go to a family who could create a life and a dream there,
You're making me think about Stacey Davis Gates, who's it's not the exact same thing, but she's got a $5,000. Her water bill is unpaid for a long time, and some other bills for trash. This is not the exact same thing, but like her kids in a private school while she's telling everybody to go to public schools, etc. So yes, if it's for them, absolutely. You and I are going to pay for their housing. Yeah, that's sick. What do you think of that? Is very sick. What do you think about this? Our mayor saying that we have a fundamental right to have housing.
I agree. I agree with you on that. My point is there's some reasonable housing that's going to people who are making about $200,000. It is well known.
You know what else? There's a lot of housing that's being taken up by Joe Biden and Pritzker's illegals.
Yeah.
A lot. Thank you very much for your call, Christine. Great story there. Great intel on that. 312-642-5600 is our number. 312-642-5600. Oh, this is huge. A little bit huge to me. Ready? From Sun Times. How a sleepaway camp became a dream utopia, quote unquote, for queer kids under threat. Now, this two-page article uses the word queer in every other sentence. Not talking about gay or LGBT this, but queer. They make up words, don't they? Queer? Nobody can define that, can they? Anyway, but listen. This is a 5-day sleepaway camp in the Chicago area. They won't let you know until just before they have it because they don't want. They're worried about safety. As if somebody's going after, I don't even know what queer means, but gay people or LGBT or whatever. As if everybody's hunting. People are hunting down gay people. Anyway, so while many of the campers are part of the queer community, again, what does that mean? Queer community. It's not exclusive. You could be non-queer and go to a queer camp. Remember, have you heard that stupid thing? You could take a class. You have kind of a major in queer theory. What is this crap? I love the left. They make up so much BS. Well, queer theory. Okay, and 3 days out of the week, these campers will attend educational sessions. This is another little point here. They will, 3 days out of the week, they'll attend educational sessions at this queer camp, this undisclosed queer camp location in Chicagoland. When they do the educational sessions, they will learn about, quote, systemic issues like the school-to-prison pipeline, of which there's no such thing. There is no such thing as a school-to-prison pipeline. That is a lie. And I will dispel that coming up next. But let me finish this out. Being a queer child now, see this queer again, the word queer, whatever that means. Being a queer child now is just child. What is your sexual preference going? You're a child. Being a queer child is just getting scarier and scarier, especially not knowing you can be yourself in the future. Okay, who's telling them they can't be whatever they are? Who is telling these kids? This is an 18-year-old girl that they're interviewing, not knowing you can be yourself in the future. Yes, we're hunting people down. Yes. Donald J. Trump, who has, what's his name? Scott Bessent, Treasury Secretary, is gay. And Rick Grinnell, who was a cabinet member last term, now is still a top advisor to negotiations for Trump and stuff like that. What's his name? I think I just mentioned it, but yeah. So he's got two top officials, Rick Grinnell and Scott Bessent, who are gay. And here comes this fool. Being a queer child is now just getting scarier and scarier, especially not knowing whether you can be yourself in the future. Right. Anyways, it's also rewarding for those working for the program, as many are queer themselves. Wow, we're all queer. What does it mean? I don't know. This person says campers get to see reflections of themselves growing up in a world more open to queer identities. These people make up a world of their own. But anyway, and I say these people meaning liberals, not queer or gay people. So they say they teach the kids about the school-to-prison pipeline. That is a lie. Absolute lie. Coming up next, I'm going to tell you exactly why you must hear this. An amazing couple stats that prove that there's no such thing as a school-to-prison pipeline, especially when you compare black boys and girls who grow up with an intact family, a mom and a dad in that household. What is their success? Are they going to prison? Are they in a pipeline? Or is that BS? I will give you stats that prove it in a brand new thing I just got the other day. And then also, this was in the news a couple days ago, LGBTQ plus mental health hotline shuts down. The left says they're all going to die now. They need a special LGBTQ hotline for mental health. That's BS as well. I'll get into that coming up next. Lines wide open if you want to chime in at 312-642-5600. This is Chris Crockett for Dan Proft. He's back Monday on AM 560, The Answer.
Connect with Dan and Amy on the AM 560 The Answer mobile app. Just text the word app to 64636 to download the app today.
The clock is ticking for Windows 10 operating system. Soon, Microsoft will no longer provide free updates, technical support, and security fixes for Windows 10 and previous versions. Is your business using Windows 10? Take action before your business is impacted. Turnkey is offering a free Windows readiness check. This free assessment will give you an analysis of where your network needs are and prepare your business for Windows 11. Don't wait. If you're not ready, your system is vulnerable and could be hacked. All your data could be lost. Your business can't afford the losses. Turnkey can help prepare you for the transition, ensuring a seamless move from Windows 10 to Windows 11. Find out if your operating system is ready for Windows 11, no charge. Ask about the free Windows readiness check today by talking to Turnkey. Visit turnkey.pro before there's no support for Windows 10. That's turnkey.pro. Turnkey, your small business champions.
At Signature Bank, going the distance for business banking customers is what we do every day. We understand that business owners have a strategic mission, a drive to succeed, a plan for growth, and don't have time to wait for a bank to respond. With Signature Bank, you not only have a banking partner that has roots right here in Chicago, but our decisions are made locally too. Signature Bank knows that when you have a question or problem about your business, you want answers. You need someone who will pick up the phone or respond to your text. You need someone who is always there for you. That's Signature Bank. We are a team that wants to get to know you and your business. Want to be Signature Bank's next success story? Give us a call today at 773-467-5630 or visit us online at signaturebank.bank. Member FDIC Equal Housing Lender.
My friend Paula just remodeled her kitchen. I feel bad. It's so bland.
Yeah. Everyone's using the same templated designs these days or just refacing cabinets.
Let's check out Forever Remodeling. They do full and custom kitchen remodels from the ground up, just for us.
It'd be nice to have a kitchen that's truly ours.
Exactly.
Don't get the same kitchen design as everyone else. Visit Forever Remodeling today at foreverremodeling.com. That's the number 4, everremodeling.com. And tell them AM 560 sent you.
Remember mixtapes?
I was more of an 8-track guy myself.
You know, the new Marshfield 7000 Sulfa at Penny Mustard reminds me of the world's greatest mixtape.
We have taken the latest and greatest components of every configurable sofa and mixed them all together into one.
It's kind of like a greatest hits album, except you can sit on it.
The Marshfield 7000 Sofa, made in Wisconsin with a solid wood frame and hundreds of fabric and leather options, starting at just $21.26 at Penny Mustard. 7
locations throughout Chicagoland.
PennyMustard.com.
AM 560, The Answer.
Chris Crockett for Dan Proft, AM 560, The Answer. Okay, the lie of the school-to-prison pipeline, that's a massive lie spread by leftists and leftist organizations. Here's your evidence right here. Black children with a father in the home are actually more likely, 90%, to get A's and B's than their white counterparts. If you are black, growing up in a home as a child, and you have 2 parents, you have a 90% chance of getting A's and B's, which is even higher than a white kid in that same situation. However, the effect of a missing father in the home is harsher for black children. So here you go. It is 22% worse if you have an absent father for black kids. So there's no such thing as a school to prison pipeline. It is simply fathers not in the home. If you want to destroy a family, you take the father out of that home. If you want to destroy a city, you take as many fathers out of as many homes as you can from that city. If you want to destroy a county, a state, a country, get the dad out of the home, and that will destroy that family. Not all the time, but it's a great way to do it, and that's what we're talking about. Hey, this is AM 560, The Answer, Chicago's Morning Answer. Chris Crock in for Dan Proft on AM 560 WIND Chicago.
Will he say anything? I'm Dave Anthony, Fox News. President Trump's about to leave the White House and take off for Scotland, but he might talk to reporters like he often does, perhaps on several issues. As for the trip,
President Trump will be visiting 2 of his golf sites in Turnberry and Aberdeen. He will also be meeting with British Prime Minister Keir Starmer to refine the trade deal between the U.S. and the U.K. The president continues to have mixed reviews on that front. Per a Wall Street Journal poll, disapproval of his tariffs agenda outweighs approval by 17 points. That poll also shows more voters disapprove than approve of his handling of the economy and inflation.
Fox's Madeline Rivera. If the president does talk on his way out, one question Fox's Griff Jenkins at the White House wants to ask about a Justice Department lawsuit against New York City.
They say that the sanctuary policies are putting New Yorkers in grave danger. And Border Czar Tom Homan yesterday told me right here on the North Lawn, he's had it with these sanctuary cities that won't cooperate with federal immigration law enforcement.
The sanctuary cities are sanctuaries for criminals. Hard stop.
For a second day, Deputy Attorney General Todd Blanche will be at a prison in Tallahassee, Florida, talking to Ghislaine Maxwell about Jeffrey Epstein and his clients and the sex trafficking operation involving underage girls Maxwell was convicted in. Her lawyer, David Marcus, says
he took a full day and asked a lot of questions, and Miss Maxwell answered every single question.
Epstein committed suicide awaiting trial. A nightmare for a family at Hershey Park in Pennsylvania. A 9-year-old child died after getting into distress at the Boardwalk water attraction. Hulk Hogan fans still in mourning over the wrestling icon's death, so are his fellow wrestlers. Glenn Jacobs, who was Kane and a WWE champion, is now the mayor of Knox County, Tennessee. He tells Fox he went to see Hulk Hogan as a kid.
It just blew me away. When he came out, the roof just literally blew off the place, and that was one of the moments of like, man, I think I want to be a professional wrestler because that's just incredibly cool.
Hulk Hogan died at age 71. America's listening to Fox News.
Good morning. It's 77 degrees in Chicago in the AM 560 The Answer newsroom. I'm Nikki Whaley. The nation's longest-serving Secretary of State is proud to have a building named in his honor. Jesse White was on hand yesterday for the official naming of 115 South LaSalle Street in Chicago to the Jesse White State of Illinois building.
I can proudly say that this honor has given me my Hall of Fame, and I will cherish it always.
The event followed unanimous votes in both the Illinois House and Senate last year to rename the building after the 91-year-old. White served as Illinois Secretary of State from 1999 to 2023. The Jesse White Building is the home to the Secretary of State Flagship Center, a state-of-the-art two-story DMV which opened in April. A gas station is destroyed after an explosion in Berwyn. Officials say that the police and fire department responded yesterday to the 6700 block of Ogden Avenue. While on the scene, two main gas lines at the BP Amaco gas station on West Ogden Avenue ignited not long after the gas lines exploded, causing the complete collapse of the gas station. The blast also shattered nearby windows of several buildings. There are no word of any injuries. A third member of the so-called ComEd 4 is headed to prison. Michael McLean was sentenced yesterday to 2 years behind bars. McLean, Ann Pramagori, John Hooker, and Jay Doherty were all found guilty in 2023 of conspiring to influence and reward former Illinois House Speaker Michael Madigan in order to assist with the passage of legislation favorable to the utility. McLean was ordered to report to prison by October 30th. Doherty will learn his fate on August 5th. News is a service of AlmostFreeTeeth.com. Overpaying for dental implants is over. If you have a Blue Cross Blue Shield PPO or FEP, you could save 90% off on average to get your smile back. Learn more and check if you qualify at AlmostFreeTeeth.com. A check of the roads coming up in 2 minutes on AM 560 The Answer.
This week on Capitol Hill is the best way to get informed on everything going on with Congress. Hosted by Tony Perkins and the Speaker of the House, Mike Johnson.
She needs to come forward and explain that to everybody. We need the DOJ focusing on the major priorities. So let's get this thing resolved so that they can deal with violent crime and public safety and election integrity.
Stay informed and become a regular listener. This week on Capitol Hill. Sundays at 1 on AM 560. The Answer.
ZipRecruiter is the place. ZipRecruiter is the place for talented teachers, savvy software developers, and master mixologists. ZipRecruiter is the place where you meet all these people and more. That's because ZipRecruiter is the place for job seekers who are looking for new opportunities. In fact, ZipRecruiter helps 10 million people with their job search every day, so you can find the right candidates right away. It's no wonder that ZipRecruiter is the place for skilled skydiving instructors, accomplished airbrush artists, and proficient pediatricians. But if you're not using ZipRecruiter to hire, you're missing out. ZipRecruiter is the place that's so confident it can make your hiring easier that it lets you try it for free at ZipRecruiter.com/free. So if you want the right candidates for all your roles, ZipRecruiter is the place to go. Try it for free at ZipRecruiter.com/free. That's ZipRecruiter.com/free. Never miss out on great candidates with ZipRecruiter.
Let's see, if something costs less, a lot less, but people are actually happier with it, that sounds like something to look into. And that's MediShare. Maybe you've heard joining MediShare can save you or your family up to $500 a month, and that's huge. But it's also true. People are just happier with it. They love being part of something that reflects and promotes their values and what they believe in. MediShare works, too. It's been around for 30 years now, and members have shared more than $7 billion of each other's bills. People love having telehealth and a huge nationwide PPO network, so yeah, really, you can save a ton and like it better. Imagine being happy with how you're taking care of your health care, whether you're self-employed or part of the gig economy, or you just want a plan that you're happy with. Here you go. You can call right now and get a price within 2 minutes. A very, very smart use of 2 minutes. Here's the number you need. It's 833-34-BIBLE. That's 833-34-BIBLE. 833-34-BIBLE.
From the Team Hochberg Traffic Center, I'm Nikki Whaley. On the Edens inbound from Lake Cook to Montrose, 14 minutes. Outbound, 13 minutes. On the Kennedy inbound from Montrose to the Burn Interchange, 16 minutes. On the outbound side, about 19 minutes. On the Eisenhower inbound from Wolf to the old post office, you'll have about a 17-minute roll. Outbound is about a 15-minute drive. On the Stevenson inbound from the Tri-State to Lakeshore Drive, 17 minutes. Outbound, you're looking at about 16 minutes. On the Dan Ryan inbound from 95th to the Burned Interchange, 13 minutes. Outbound, looking at 11 minutes. Traffic is a service of almostfreeteeth.com. Overpaying for dental implants is over. If you have a Blue Cross Blue Shield PPO or FEP, you could save 90% off on average to get your smile back. Learn more and check if you qualify at almostfreeteeth.com. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next, but now check your forecast from the National Weather Service.
Today will be mostly cloudy, not as warm, but humid with a few showers and a heavy thunderstorm, which may lead to flash flooding. Expect a high of 80. Tonight stays cloudy, warm, and humid with a couple of intense thunderstorms, increasing the risk of significant flash flooding. Be cautious of rapidly rising water. The low will be 72. I'm meteorologist Jason Caterina on AM 560, The Answer.
Get the latest weather, traffic, and news updates online at 560theanswer.com. Now, from the Signature Bank Studios, this is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft on AM 560. The Answer.
AM 560, The Answer, Chicago's Morning Answer. Chris Crockett for Dan Proft. He's back on Monday. 312-642-5600 is our number. 312-642-5600. Joined by Matt Kittle, senior elections correspondent for the Federalist and previously served as the executive director of Empower Wisconsin. Matt, thanks for joining us on Chicago's Morning Answer.
No, thanks for having me.
You still in Wisconsin?
In Des Moines, Iowa now.
Oh, as Mick called it when I saw the Stones there in 95, I think. Hello, Des Moines. Hello, Des Moines.
Des Moines, that's right.
Yes.
Famous for a couple of things. Home of the Iowa caucuses, of course.
Yes.
Or
yes.
As Rush used to call it, the Hawkeye Caucus. And
there
this
you
is
go.
the place where Ozzy Osbourne apparently bit the head off of the bat in 82.
Yes! I was going to say I know what year, but you beat me. Shame on you, sir.
That.
And then he reportedly cut off, that's all right, brother. He cut off the concert to go get a rabies shot.
It was a good idea on his part, at least that part of his decision making.
That's exactly right. Well, I had to ask you, there's a couple columns you've written recently that I wanted to ask you about in the Federalist. The first one about the Obama White House deep staters proved to be the real threats to democracy. So they tell us, and they told us for years actually, and even Biden was saying this garbage too, and still would, that Trump is an existential threat to democracy or to this country, right?
Yeah.
And in fact, you're right, which I strongly agree with. The record shows just the opposite. So isn't this how they usually have done things? At least I'm not going to say from 20 years ago, but I'm saying the last 10 years, 12 years. Isn't this exactly how they've always done it? They literally are doing something dastardly, and then they accuse us of that exact thing they're doing. Isn't that it?
Yeah, I think you're absolutely right. I mean, the deep state has been doing this for a lot longer, but during the Trump era, the mission of the American left, the Democratic Party, which of course has been totally taken over by the radical Marxist left, they have done everything they can to diminish Donald Trump, his administration, his presidency, and that is exactly what the game plan was in the Obama White House in the final weeks of 2016 into early January of 2017, just days before President-elect Trump began his first term. And, we go into the ICA report, the Intelligence Community Assessment, that based on a trove of documents show was absolutely manufactured.
Absolutely agree with you on that. Now, let me ask you something else, too. Tulsi Gabbard came out and said when she announced all these documents she's releasing and the second tranche, etc., she said that this is a network of bad actors, which I'm sure we all agree with, that are trying to subvert the will of the American people. And then she asserts, your column says, she asserts it was treasonous election interference. I have the definition of treason, and I'll ask you this first, though. It is treasonous, isn't it?
It seems that way based on the documents that I've reviewed, and so far I've reviewed hundreds of documents surrounding this. We have emails, that are showing that the intelligence community leaders at that time, John Brennan leading the FBI, and leading the CIA, James Comey leading the FBI, and James Clapper intelligence, they did everything they could to ignore or to push back against career intelligence agents, saying what you are putting together in this assessment about Russia collusion with the Trump campaign is absolutely wrong and false. And yet they went forward with this because it was politically driven on their part. It had nothing to do with protecting America. It had everything to do with interfering in an election and toppling the administration of their political enemy. So, yeah, I would say that based on that, treason is a pretty good definition.
So here's the definition that I pulled up from the American Heritage Dictionary. The betrayal of allegiance toward one's own country, especially by committing hostile acts against it. Absolutely, that's what this was, what former President Hussein Obama did. The other definition, the offense of attempting to overthrow the government of the state to which the offender owes allegiance. The other part here says disloyalty, treachery. So those are parts of the definition I think exactly meet or fit what the Obama administration did to Trump in trying to destroy his presidency.
It's funny, Chris. This information, the ICA report, came out on January 6th, 2017. This is when it started leaking out, and the usual suspects in, the accomplice media grabbed onto it and ran with the narrative as these lapdogs are known to do. But it is interesting that date, January 6, 2017, based on these documents, this very well could be the real insurrection.
Yes.
Or attempt at an insurrection.
That's exactly right. That is exactly right. I want to ask you this, too. Do you think some of these former Obama officials are going to go to jail?
I think some of these former Obama officials could go to jail. If you ask me if Obama, who was the point man for all of this, according to the documents, Tulsi Gabbard has a lot of information on that and has said that he is culpable clearly in this. I don't think that he will go to jail. I think that ironically, the U.S. Supreme Court saved him in a 6-3 decision, quite frankly, that said that actions taken in the official business of the president are immune from prosecution. But John Brennan, who appears to have lied under oath, among other things, has some worries, and so does Mr. 86 James Comey.
Yep. I agree with you very, very much. So, Hillary Clinton, this is so hysterical, and it fits. I've called her for years the lozenge lizard. Remember, she's like, give me a lozenge. So the lozenge lizard, a.k.a. Hillary Clinton, we now know that she was suffering from, according to the Russian intelligence and according to the intelligence that Tulsi Gabbard just released, that we're all reading about, that she was suffering from, and I love this. It totally fits. And this is so great. This probably give her a coronary. Suffering from intensified psycho-emotional problems, and that she was on, as my one of my dear in-laws in Chicago says, she was taking a lot of kitty tranks, or in this case, not kitty tranks, but that's our joke in the family, but tranquilizers and such. And that the Obama administration people, the Hussein Obama people, were alarmed at at this stuff. How much truth do you think there is to that? I mean, we see the video. I retweeted it yesterday, today, of her almost collapsing, and she can't even walk into that van after the 9/11 ceremony.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, do you think all that's true? How much truth is there to that?
You remember that scene from Old School where he accidentally shoots himself with the elephant tranquilizer? That guy has the feel of it. Although I don't think there's anything accidental about this. And I, as I note, the least surprising thing from these documents is that the DNC officials found Hillary Clinton to have severe mental health problems and an insatiable thirst for power. These are the sort
I believe
of stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah. And this is the stuff that the Kremlin had. Remember the whole WikiLeaks stuff in 2016? I remember covering the Democratic National Convention in Philadelphia that week, and man, it was very, very tense when those emails from the DNC dropped. But that's the sort of stuff that the Russians had on Hillary Clinton, and that absolutely blows up the idea that Putin was trying to do everything he could to elect Donald Trump. They would have dropped that stuff,
yes,
months before, and certainly right close to the election when it started to even up. And so that cast, just the whole notion that there was Russia collusion with the Trump administration, that cast it in such a different light.
So, I want to ask you about this, too. You in one of your columns, you say, Brennan, according to the report, picked 5 CIA analysts to write the intelligence community assessment, the ICA, and rushed its production in order to publish 2 weeks before the presidential election was sworn in. So, some of the words I wrote in my reaction to reading that today in your column this morning are undermine, destroy, and take down. That's what they were trying to do to the president, President Trump, and his first term there. Are those realistic words? Undermine, destroy, take down.
I think those are perfect words. I think that absolutely fits in what they were trying to do, because at every turn, people who had information kept telling them, what you are trying to sell is wrong. It's unverifiable. It's unclear. It's piecemeal. The one nugget that they had that could possibly suggest their theory was correct, nobody could verify. And so they disregarded all of that, and they disregarded all of that because the Obama machine was going with the insurance policy that Peter Strzok and Lisa Page talked about in those very damning emails.
Talking to Matt Kittle, former elections correspondent, senior, you're not fired yet, senior elections correspondent for the Federalist. I almost fired you. And previously serving as the executive director of Empower Wisconsin. In my radio career, growing up in Chicagoland, it took me through Wisconsin, Madison, and Eau Claire, Wisconsin, etc. So, and most of us grew up going to the Dells and all that stuff from Chicagoland. Just a little sidebar there, but here's a quote from a quote from within a quote of your column. Our instructions from leadership were that anything we had was to be used, and we were to push this. So whatever we had, throw it at the wall. Everything. What do we know? This made me think about whistleblowers that Tulsi Gabbard has mentioned. What do we know about whistleblowers, and how many, and what are they saying? What do we know about that right now, as far as you're aware?
Well, we know multiple whistleblowers, and one in particular who had the kind of intelligence that was absolutely necessary to put together a post-election report that altered, that was completely different, completely opposite from what Brennan and crew were trying to pitch. There were whistleblowers. One of the documents, one of the tranche of documents released this week, such impactful documents came from a 2020 House Intelligence report where they had numerous CIA and intelligence community officials, basically saying what you are trying to do here is absolutely wrong. But again, that advice fell on deaf ears.
Matt, it has absolutely been a blast spending some time with you this morning. Thank you for laughing at my jokes. I appreciate it very much. And thank you for making me laugh. And most of us laughed this morning on Chicago's Morning Answer. Appreciate it. Look forward to the next time.
Thank you, sir. I appreciate being here. Take care.
Thank you, man. Take care in Des Moines, my friend.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Coming up next, we have the Italian community in Chicagoland believe they had a deal with Brandon Johnson and the city of Chicago to not destroy what had been the Columbus statue in Grand Park, excuse me. And today they wake up to find out that they have been screwed by Brandon Johnson. I'll talk to you about that coming up next. And then at 7:37, we get to talk to a former federal prosecutor and state prosecutor I've had on my show in the past, and now I get to talk to him today on Dan's show on AM 560, Chicago's Morning Answer. We're going to talk about his column in the American Spectator about the Butler rally where Trump almost was murdered, where he was shot. And it's amazing because his whole column is premised on what I was saying for weeks and weeks and have said since in Butler. I publicly said, and it's just great to hear other people backing this up with in columns and such. And I mean, maybe I'm Captain Obvious on this, but that I believe the Secret Service took their hands off, kind of put their hands up and withdrew a little bit, withdrew on purpose, not a little bit, but a lot, so that if somebody should assassinate Trump, oh man, we tried so hard, oh I can't, it's terrible, it's terrible. Did they actually do that? Did they kind of withdraw so that he could be assassinated? We're going to talk about that, and of course some of the Epstein, Comey, Brennan, Obama stuff coming up at 7:37. He's a great guest, I promise you that. But we'll get into the Columbus statute and the Italian-American community being screwed over by none other than Brandon Johnson. Next on AM 560, The Answer. It's Chicago's Morning Answer. Chris Kroc filling in for Dan. 312-642-5600 is our number. 312-642-5600 on AM 560, The Answer.
Hear about the big stories of the day, then talk about them right here on Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560, The Answer.
Welcome back to Ask Hassleus.
Hey, it's your favorite car dealer, Honest Eddie. Is it true that there are no employees at Hassleus Mattress?
It's true. Give the mattresses a try with no pushy sales guy. And through Monday, get additional instant savings of $248 off Sealy Posturepedic and Beauty Rest.
Son, you gotta pressure people. Like, what do I have to do to get you into a new mattress today?
Uh-oh, you're breaking up. Gotta go.
Wait, no, let me talk to my manager.
Find an employee-free showroom near you at Hassleus.com.
My friend Paula just remodeled her kitchen. I feel bad. It's so bland.
Yeah. Everyone's using the same templated designs these days or just refacing cabinets.
Let's check out Forever Remodeling. They do full and custom kitchen remodels from the ground up, just for us.
It'd be nice to have a kitchen that's truly ours.
Exactly.
Don't get the same kitchen design as everyone else. Visit Forever Remodeling today at foreverremodeling.com. That's the number 4, everremodeling.com. And tell them AM 560 sent you.
Whew, that shot was money, Lisa. Hey, speaking of, did you ever figure out what to do with your parents' old coin collection?
Not yet. I need a reputable dealer to appraise them. I have no clue what they're worth.
I just finished working on my dad's estate collections. I took it all to Fox Valley Coins. Their customer service was the best. Plus, they're super honest and reputable, but most importantly, experienced. They'll give you the best prices.
Really? They handle estate collections?
Absolutely. Buying, selling, appraising, they do it all. It was quick and simple, and we maintained our privacy. Fox Valley Coins made the whole process easy.
That's exactly what I need. Are they local?
Right in Naperville. They have an easy website to remember. FoxValleyCoins.com.
Perfect. Now let's see if you can return this shot.
Whether buying or selling or just want valuation, Fox Valley Coins is your trusted gold and silver dealer. Visit Fox Valley Coins, 1 light north of I-88 on Route 59 at the Naperville-Warrenville border. FoxValleyCoins.com. Family-owned integrity since 1981.
Signature Bank is Chicago's fastest growing independently owned business bank, a bank where relationships still matter. I'm Dan Proft, and I know this because Signature Bank is my business bank.
Hey all, Jim Carr here. I am the owner of Carr Machine and Tool in Elk Grove Village and loyal customer of Signature Bank. As a second generation owner, I knew I had to shift from operating as an old school machine shop to what I can proudly say is now one of the fastest growing aerospace manufacturing facilities in the region. Signature Bank was there every step of the way through our expansion efforts, including financing our new state-of-the-art facility. Their valuable industry expertise and constant communication throughout the construction process made our vision possible. Many thanks to Signature Bank for supporting Carr Machine and Tool. You set the bar high for other banks.
Signature Bank helps local businesses succeed. Want to learn how Signature Bank can help turn your business vision into reality? Visit signaturebank.bank. Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
Experience a luxurious summer when you visit Trump International Hotel and Towers, Chicago, a Forbes Travel Guide 5-star hotel. Take in stunning views of the Chicago skyline from the heart of the city, steps away from the iconic Magnificent Mile and the revitalized Riverwalk. Treat yourself to exquisite dining at Terra 16 Restaurant and Rebar Lounge, overlooking the Chicago River and Lake Michigan. Catch the Navy Pier fireworks display from Terra 16's patio on Wednesdays and Saturdays all summer long. Relax in immaculately designed suites that offer the utmost level of comfort. Refresh in the state-of-the-art spa featuring a 75-foot swimming pool, steam and sauna rooms, relaxation lounge, and more. The Trump Hotel Chicago offers sophistication and elegance to downtown Chicago and is a convenient travel destination for your summer getaway. Simply visit Trump Chicago online to make your reservations today and search offers to find the never settle summer stay. Book today.
AM 560, The Answer.
Toto. This is Chris Crock in for Dan Proft. Coming up next, we're going to talk to a former federal prosecutor who has a wonderful write-up on Butler and was the Secret Service intentionally not protecting Trump to where they normally would so that he might be able to be taken out. There's so many things that went down into that he breaks down and analyzes, particularly with his former federal prosecutor eyeballs, that is just definitely worth getting into. That's coming up next. But first, the last, by the way, what does Brandon Johnson think of you? If you're one of them, they're Italians. You don't matter. You're not one of his protected classes. If you're queer, he will not take your statue down. If you're Italian, he could care less. He'll take it down. You don't matter to him. And look at this from the Sun-Times. Last remnant of Columbus statue being removed from Grant Park as city looks to add rotating art. Here's a hint. It is diversity type art. Yes. You're not going to see any Italian stuff up there. Absolutely not. No. Diversity art. This is what's crazy. Because the head of the Joint Civic Committee of Italian Americans, Ron Onesti, he says we had an innovative agreement that I cut with Mayor Brandon Johnson's administration 3 months ago. It called for the Columbus statue to be loaned to the Chicago Museum for Italian Immigration. The committee was hoping that the deal that they made would be a prelude to returning the other Columbus statue to Grand Park. 2 of them we had that were up. But the Marxist communists tore them down and, of course, took them down under former Mayor Larry Lightfoot. Has anybody seen her lately? Her and her wife, Big Bird? I don't know. I haven't heard or seen from her in a long time. At least publicly, I'm saying. I don't talk to her. I don't know her. But anyway, so what the Italian American community woke up to yesterday is the pedestal that once held the Columbus statue at Grant Park was removed yesterday in preparation for a replacement of rotating art. Yes. Rotating art. Woke art is going to be there in place of the statue of Columbus. It's a terrible thing, he says. It's another slap in the face to our community. So he had a deal for them to put it back up somewhere, or to loan it to the museum, then come back, and then maybe put it back at Grant Park. None of that mattered. They destroyed the pedestal yesterday. Why wouldn't they just at least communicate what's happening? He says, we're citizens of Chicago. Sir, you are Caucasian. If you're an Italian, I say that as a joke. Them, they're Italians. Sir, you're a Caucasian. You're an oppressor. You don't get a statue. We destroy your statue. Are you indigenous? Are you one of the indigenous peoples? Then you get no statue. Are you queer? No statue if you're not queer. Wait a minute. We have Chris in the great suburb of Arlington Heights, where my aunt and uncle live. You are on AM 560. The Answer. Hi, Chris.
Hey, how you doing, Chris?
Good, sir.
I'm one of the guys that after the statue came down got involved because this is a major injustice to the Italian Americans. That community, that whole community, Little Italy, was driven out because of the city expanding the UIC and the expressways, and that has significant meaning. Even the base of that statue had meaning. It had depictions of the Santa Maria. They had pictures of Amerigo Vespucci, Genoa. So there was art. It was art. And it was stolen by a Marxist mayor who wanted to appease a bunch of domestic terrorists who attacked that statue in a coordinated, violent way for political purposes.
Yes.
And this city and this mayor, and unfortunately the people that made that stupid deal sold us out. They sold us out. So
you're saying this? Go ahead. You're pissed off. What? Go ahead.
No, I've been pissed off because it's an injustice to the immigrants that helped build this city. Okay, we were one of the largest ethnic in the city.
No, they'll say that even though it was, of course, in the industrial north, they'll say, no. Remember, there's one line you're supposed to say that this country was built according to the leftists and the Marxists on the back of slaves. That's it. Everything. That's all it was. Of course, that's not the case in the industrial north, as we know at the time. But yeah. So what you're hearing here is, and I love your call. It's very important to me and powerful because you don't matter. You do not matter. I don't matter. We don't matter. We're not part of his people to check off on the boxes. If you're not queer, if you're not a person of color, black, Hispanic, etc., you do not matter. You're an oppressor. This is an insult. I love it. Let me share something else too. By the way, this is really cool to me. The history, and that's why it's even worse. One of the statues of Columbus at I'm going to butcher this name. Arrigo Park or Arrigo Park? I think it's Arrigo Park. Right?
Arrigo Park, named after Victor Arrigo. Yeah.
Thank you, brother. The one at Arrigo Park was a quote relic from the 1893 World's Fair. And then here's another one. The Grant Park statue, which they were thinking would go back, is the only remaining relic from the 1933 Century of Progress World Fair. It stood at the Italian Pavilion. This is disgusting what they have done. And there's such deep history of the World's Fair and stuff like that. You see pictures of it. They call it the White City. There was a book I read years ago. My dad referred it to me, and it's called Devil in the White City. It's about the first documented, I believe, serial killer, and he was in Chicago, and it was going on during that World's Fair. There's so much deep history. This is an insult. They will tear everything down. That is documenting what all of our people have done. I am a proud Polak, Chicago-born, and that city is Chicago-born. And they will tear what my family did, working in the bottle cap factories and other factories in the city of Chicago, building a life. where my dad was a police officer back in the day, they will tear anything down that doesn't worship their DEI garbage. You and I are oppressors in their eyes. Nothing matters to us, to them.
No, that's right. That's right. And the history is so deep because the holiday itself, people don't even know this. They think it was after just Christopher Columbus the explorer, but it was after Sicilian Americans were lynched in the largest mass lynching in U.S. history in New Orleans in 1891. And the Italian government actually was breaking off relationships with the U.S. because they were so upset about it. And President Benjamin Harrison, declared the holiday as a way to atone for the way the Sicilians and the Italians were treated in this country. So that holiday and that statue, it means for Italian Americans that it represents assimilation, it represents greatness, and it's a way for us to be seen as Americans when we weren't seen as Americans.
I gotta go, but listen, I gotta go, but I'm gonna tell you, I'm so grateful for you. You're just an absolute wonderful caller, and everything you're saying is very important for everybody to hear. They literally will eventually, if we let them, wipe us off the map and such, because we don't fit the box. We're considered oppressors. Thank you for your great call, man. Look forward to your next one. Coming up next, we're going to talk to former federal prosecutor George Perry, not just about some Epstein, Comey, Brennan Obama stuff, but also particularly about did the Secret Service intentionally let Trump be at great risk to being murdered from assassination? That, particularly with the Butler situation, that is coming up next. It's Chris Kroc in for Dan Proft on AM 560, The Answer, Chicago's Morning Answer. And now the news with Nikki Whaley.
Good morning. It's 77 degrees in Chicago in the AM 560 The Answer newsroom. I'm Nikki Whaley. Tensions between President Trump and Fed Chair Jerome Powell are rising again over Powell's refusal to lower interest rates.
Trump toured the Federal Reserve Building in D.C. with Powell to look at the controversial $2.5 billion in renovations that Powell signed off on and used the occasion to talk interest rates.
We should have the lowest interest rate of any country, and we don't. So we want to get the rates down, but we also want to get the Fed building finished.
The two had an awkward exchange in front of reporters over a discrepancy in the amount of a new cost estimate. Trump wrapped up the visit with a more conciliatory tone, saying lowering interest rates is more important to him than the building costs. I'm Mark Mayfield.
The Supreme Court is halting an appeals ruling that limits the enforcement of the Voting Rights Act.
The case stems from a lawsuit brought by two Native American tribes who argue that North Dakota's state legislative map denied them an equal opportunity to elect their candidates of choice. Justices have lifted an appeals panel ruling that found the tribes and other private parties have no legal right to enforce Section 2 of the Voting Rights Act. I'm Brian Shook.
News is a service of Air Right Heating and Cooling, offering AM 560 listeners $56 off of any service, including inspections. Don't wait for a heat wave for that old air conditioner to break down. Visit Air Right Heating and Cooling today at AIR-RITE.com. Again, that's AIR-RITE.com. A check of the roads coming up in 2 minutes on AM 560 The Answer.
The biggest AM 560 event of the year is coming to Goebridge Farm in Pingree Grove on Friday, August 22nd. It's Sean Fest 2025. Join hundreds of fellow AM 560 listeners for the summer's best party. Be a part of the on-location broadcast with Sean Thompson, followed by live music, photo opportunities, food and dessert trucks, and it's all free. Registration is requested at 560theanswer.com/SeanFest. That's 560theanswer.com/SHAUNFEST.
Oil investments involve a high degree of risk and uncertainty and are only suitable for accredited investors. Actual results may vary.
President Trump says, drill, baby, drill. And he's declared a national energy emergency and is making the U.S. oil industry a priority with support for more active drilling and support for our hardworking oil and gas industry. If you are an SEC accredited investor and qualified to make at least a $100,000 investment, you can deduct nearly 100% of your investment for this tax year. Don't miss out on this limited time opportunity to create potential income for up to 20 or more years to come. Call 800-278-7455 now and connect directly to Encore Energy. Encore is a major investor and experienced horizontal well operator in its core area of operations. Call Encore Energy now at 800-278-7455 and find out if your investment will be tax deductible for 2025 with the potential for lucrative cash flow for years to come. Call 800-278-7455. That's 800-278-7455.
Have you seen the Milo bedroom at Penny Mustard Furnishings?
You know it, Daddy-O, and it's boss. I mean, if you don't dig the mod mood of the Milo bedroom, you're Dullsville.
Ben.
What's your bag, man?
Why are you talking like that?
I think I know. He's saying the Milo bedroom from Penny Mustard takes you back to the times of Mad Men, martinis, and mop tops.
Right on, Nicole.
Oh, well, I agree. It's refreshingly retro. I love Milo's clean, streamlined look.
It's a gas.
Sophisticrafted in the USA with solid wood and scaled to fit any room.
What you mean to say is, the Milo bedroom is perfect for your pad.
Yeah, dude. It's totally bodacious.
Wrong decade, Arvid.
Oh.
Don't be so square, man.
The Milo bedroom with queen platform bed, 6-drawer dresser, mirror, and 3-drawer nightstand, starting at $52.09 at Penny Mustard.
7 locations throughout Chicagoland.
PennyMustard.com.
Groovier versions of what people dig.
Penny Mustard Furnishing.
Are you looking to hire? ZipRecruiter finds the best candidate for your job fast. Try ZipRecruiter for free at ZipRecruiter.com/free. ZipRecruiter.com/free.
From the Team Hochberg Traffic Center, I'm Nikki Whaley. On the Edens inbound from Lake Cook to Montrose, 15 minutes. Outbound, about 13 minutes. On the Kennedy inbound from Montrose to the Byrne Interchange, 13 minutes. Outbound is about 13 minutes. On the Eisenhower inbound from Wolf to the Old Post Office, 16 minutes. Outbound, 13 minutes. On the Stevenson inbound from the Tri-State to Lakeshore Drive, 26 minutes. Outbound is about 15 minutes. This report is sponsored by Blindster.com. Need new blinds? At Blindster.com, they offer guaranteed low prices, guaranteed satisfaction, free samples, and free shipping. At Blindster, they take the fear out of ordering custom blind shades and shutters so you can do it yourself and save big. Blindster.com. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next, but now check your forecast from the National Weather Service.
Today will be mostly cloudy, not as warm, but humid with a few showers and a heavy thunderstorm, which may lead to flash flooding. The high will reach 80. Tonight stays cloudy, warm, and humid with a couple of heavy thunderstorms. There's a risk of significant flash flooding, so be cautious of rapidly rising water. The low will be around 72. I'm meteorologist Jason Caterina on AM 560, The Answer.
Get the latest weather, traffic, and news updates online at 560theanswer.com. Now, from the Signature Bank Studios. Only the biggest stories, only the biggest guests, and only the biggest opinions. This is AM 560, The Answer.
All right. In memory of Ozzy Osbourne, this song is absolutely awesome. The stories, everything about the great Oz. I remember with my my very, very good friends from high school. Actually, they were from Hersey. I was in Wheeling. From Wheeling, we would go to Wisconsin camping and do crazy, stupid things, and we would be playing Ozzy Crazy Train, right? Absolutely. Are you kidding me? Come on, baby. 312-642-5600. 312-642-5600. He's a former federal prosecutor. He's also a huge Ozzy fan. I don't know. I'm making that up. George Perry, former federal and state prosecutor. Now, George, you probably aren't going to remember this, but I interviewed you out of Dallas, my old station, with St. George Floyd. Blessed be his name. About him dying from a drug overdose in the custody of Minneapolis police. We talked for almost an hour one night on the show, and I'm always a fan of yours since that day. You know.
Well, thank you very much, Chris. I recall that interview.
Yeah.
So you made an impression.
And that's why you won't call me back. Just kidding. So, George, I love that you're a former federal prosecutor, Philadelphia guy still, right?
Yeah.
And this column you wrote, the Butler probabilities. This is so insane because, and obviously I'm not. I always think I'm the only guy thinking this. I'm not. You are, and probably a lot of us are. But I was saying for weeks and weeks and weeks, and ever since, with the near death of President Trump, the assassination attempt, hitting him in the ear with that bullet, firing 8 shots, killing Corey Comparatore, and wounding others, that the Secret Service, the only conclusion I came to, and I will never let go of this, is that I think they purposely withdrew their hand so that Trump could get assassinated. And when I read your column today, there was many points in it that I thought was very accurate. This column in The Spectator today. And to me, one thing I wanted to mention is, to me, it seemed like the Secret Service intentionally left it for the locals with no coordination, no comms, no meetings with the Secret Service. They just left it to the locals, and the locals can do a dang good job, but they're not the Secret Service. And tell me about that. It seemed like they withdrew their hand, and that they left it to the locals to do the work that the Secret Service should have been doing.
Well, throughout the campaign, the Secret Service higher-ups were denying the requests of the detail assigned to Donald Trump for resources. So that was a pattern and a practice throughout the campaign. When it came to Butler, what they did was the Secret Service sent in a novice, inexperienced DEI hire agent to do the site evaluation, which means that she was called the site agent. And her job was to inspect the Butler Farm Show grounds, identify what they call site vulnerabilities, and in this case it would be potential sniper locations, and make plans to deal with those vulnerabilities and to have a coordinated communication system between the Secret Service personnel who would be assigned and local law enforcement. Because throughout the campaign, and at Butler in particular, they weren't going to have an all Secret Service security set up. The Secret Service effort had to be supplemented by state and local law enforcement. There had been a general denial of resources to the Trump campaign throughout, and so they needed a coordinated communication set up between state and local people and the Secret Service. Well, that didn't happen. It was a totally inadequate, under-resourced effort, so that even though Crooks, the guy who took the shots at President Trump, even though he had been identified well before he fired those shots, they were unable to communicate effectively to the Donald Trump detail, who could have kept Trump off the stage until Crooks had been apprehended. That didn't happen because it was an under-resourced effort. So the effect was there was an obvious, glaringly obvious sniper's perch, which was the roof of the AGR building at the Butler Fairgrounds. It was only 441 feet away from the stage where Trump was speaking. And for whatever reason, they didn't have anybody covering that rooftop. That was an obvious sniper's location. It should have been provided for well before the day of the rally. They should have had plans to have someone on that roof or someone directly observing that roof to eliminate it as a sniper position. That didn't happen. Crooks got up on the roof. He got off 8 shots, and 441 feet may sound like a lot, but trust me, a rifleman with minimal skills would have no problem hitting a target the size of a human being on that stage. The only thing that saved Trump was at the last split second before Crooks opened fire, Trump turned his head and he got hit in the fleshy part of the ear instead of a fatal headshot. The fact of the matter is that was what saved Trump. And if you look at it in the article, what the article does is I go into all of the reasons why the Biden people and the opposition to Trump wanted Trump eliminated because he had made it clear that he was going to just completely upend Washington, D.C.
Yes.
And these people had been trying to destroy Trump. They had tried to bankrupt him through bogus civil litigation. They tried to smear him and impeach him when he was in office, and they had tried to put him in prison for life, and all of that had failed. And they viewed him as an existential threat to their continued control of the federal, I call it the federal Leviathan, where trillions of dollars were at stake. So there was this tremendous motive behind trying to eliminate Trump, and they had run out of tricks. The only thing that was left was getting him killed. And it's not that they hired somebody to do the job. It's just that through the Secret Service, they left the door open to let nature take its course. You could call it malign neglect.
That is so much what I was shouting from the rooftops. To hear you say that, to read your column in Spectator about this is so rewarding for me to see that, because I totally agree with what you're saying. Hey, did Nurse Jill... or not a Dr. Jill, you can take your pick on what we want to call her. Did Nurse Jill have better coverage from the Secret Service at her nearby rally in I don't know, it was Pittsburgh, but it was in Pennsylvania that day? And then also, I think Kathleen Kamala had one too there the same day. Didn't they get a lot more? Did they get a lot more Secret Service protection than Trump did that day?
Well, that's what I've read in the media. I haven't researched those points exactly, but when it comes to Jill Biden, it's been pointed out to me by people who do know these things that the director of the Secret Service, Kimberly Cheadle, who was running the operation and was responsible, along with her leadership team, for not only under-resourcing Trump's detail, it also withheld classified threat information that should have been shared with the people tasked with protecting Trump. Well, anyhow, Kimberly Cheadle, according to people who seem to know about these things, was selected as director of the Secret Service because of an association with Jill Biden.
Yes.
So you have someone who is directly beholden to the Biden regime who is running the Secret Service, and that same Secret Service, due to the leadership, has been under the detail protecting Trump, has been under-resourced. They've been denied vital threat information that they would need to properly plan for Trump's protection. And so, yeah, it's like I said, it's not that they hired an assassin to do the job. It's just that they left the door open in the hopes that some nut job out there would do the job for them. Either a nut job or, as I point out in the article, Trump has been under direct threat by the Iranian Revolutionary Guard ever since 2020, when at Trump's direction they took out the general in charge of the Iranian Revolutionary Guard. And the Iranians have been trying ever since to kill Trump. So the handwriting was on the wall. There's a very severe, dangerous threat environment that Trump was operating in. And for some reason, they send an incompetent agent to do the site evaluation. They don't provide the resources that were requested, and they had to cobble, the agents tasked with protecting Trump had to cobble together a protection plan that involved state and local police that was uncoordinated, and they couldn't put together a comprehensive plan of protection. So that's what Trump stepped into in Butler, and thank God he turned his head at the last second.
It's unbelievable. George Perry, I want to just close this out here with this quote from your piece here that's in the Spectator. Special agent in charge of Secret Service Pittsburgh office said, had he been informed of the threats against Trump from the Iranians, the attempts of, the plans of assassination, two different, a Pakistani national and Afghan national, and then, of course, the video released of Iran assassinating him with the drone animation. He would have requested additional assets had he been informed of the threats against him. So the head of the Secret Service, Pittsburgh office, would have requested additional assets such as ballistic glass barriers for the stage, extra anti-drone coverage, and a full counter-sniper advance. I totally agree with you that everything points to them taking their hand off of him so that he could be assassinated by somebody. It's sick, and I'm grateful for your column, George Perry, former federal prosecutor and state prosecutor, regular contributor to the American Spectator, and blogs at knowledgeisgood.net. That's knowledgeisgood.net. George Perry, thank you for joining us this morning on Chicago's Morning Answer.
Okay, Chris, always a pleasure.
Yes, sir. Talk soon. All right, coming up at 8:08, we'll get to John Lott, head of the Crime Prevention and Research Center. Some great stuff that he has for us. Coming up next as well, in just a few, anti-Semitism skyrocketing in the city of Chicago, and a sickening anti-Semitic, to say the least, podcast that is widely watched. All that next on AM 560. The Answer, Chicago's Morning Answer. Chris Kroc in for Dan Proft. He's back Monday on AM 560. The Answer.
It's news, opinion, insight. This is Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer. Gain insight into building strong marriages and raising godly children with Focus on the Family with Jim Daly each weekday at 11:30 a.m. on our sister station, AM 1160. Hope for your life.
Charlie, is there something better we can do with all these pallets, OCC, and shrink wrap? It just keeps building up.
Well, we have a trash company that's supposed to haul it away. I guess they're not keeping up.
Well, maybe we should shop around. All this paper, plastic, metal, this can all be recycled. We spend way too many hours just moving it around.
Actually, my buddy's company uses Combined Resources in Addison. They pick up recyclables all over Chicago and safely dispose of it. They have this huge recycling center. Apparently, it saves them a lot in waste expenses, too.
Well, let's give Combined Resources a call.
Since 1986, Combined Resources, Inc. has been your one-stop shop recycling and sustainability partner. CRI's programs reduce labor and hauling costs, boost rebate returns, and help your company go green. If your company has paper, cardboard, plastic, pallets, and metal that you want cleared and recycled, CRI will take care of it all and help you meet sustainability goals. Call 877-CRI-PLAS and learn how CRI supports smarter recycling at combinedresources.us. Combined Resources, Inc., turning waste into worth, one resource at a time.
Don't miss cutting-edge coverage of daily news from an America First perspective on the Alex Marlow podcast on the Salem Podcast Network.
Everything I'm seeing from the public is that public does not like the idea of just pure welfare and charity being done for people who are able to work and are not willing to work. So able-bodied people have got to get back to work.
Subscribe today on Apple, Spotify, YouTube, Rumble, or at SalemPodcastNetwork.com. AM 560. The Answer.
Are the crime rates from illegals higher than us, or are we, the average American citizens, having higher crime rates versus the illegals? The answer is what you think it is. We'll get into that coming up next with our guest, John Lott, and so much more coming up in the 8 o'clock hour. Oh, and at 8:25, Open Mic Friday. We go nuts, you and me. We have a lot of fun on AM 560. The Answer, WIND, Chicago.
They'll talk again today. I'm Dave Anthony, Fox News. Deputy Attorney General Todd Blanche and Ghislaine Maxwell, who's in prison in Florida, serving 20 years for her role in the Jeffrey Epstein scheme for sex trafficking underage girls. They've already spent a full day talking in the push to get more information about Epstein and his clients. Her attorney, David Marcus, says
she never invoked a privilege. She never declined to answer. She answered all the questions truthfully, honestly, and to the best of her ability.
President Trump, who's called the Epstein controversy a hoax perpetrated by Democrats, may be asked about that right now. He has just started talking to reporters outside the White House before taking a trip to Scotland for a weekend at his golf resorts.
Before heading back to the U.S. on Tuesday, President Trump will also spend time with UK Prime Minister Keir Starmer for the two leaders to put the finishing touches on a tariff and trade deal first announced in May.
That's Fox's Jared Halpern at the White House. The day after a new push to stop Israel's war in Gaza fell apart, with U.S. Special Envoy Steve Witkoff blaming Hamas for a lack of desire to make a deal. A Hamas official claims ceasefire negotiations will resume next week.
Reports indicate the group issued new demands, including that more Palestinian prisoners be exchanged for Israeli hostages, 20 of whom are believed to be alive. Witkoff saying, in part, Hamas does not appear to be coordinated or acting in good faith. We will now consider alternative options to bring the hostages home.
Well, that's Fox's Trey Yingst in Tel Aviv. Thailand's acting prime minister is warning new fighting with Cambodia and a border dispute could escalate into a war. Tens of thousands of people have fled villages to get away from the fighting that left at least 15 people dead. Summer fun turned into a horrific day at Hershey Park in Pennsylvania. A 9-year-old child died after going into the boardwalk water attraction.
The company says from the moment our lifeguard team recognized that a child was in distress, they performed an immediate rescue and continuing life-saving efforts and transported to the hospital, but the child did not survive.
That's Fox's Sue Guzman. America's listening to Fox News.
Good morning. It's 78 degrees in Chicago in the AM 560 The Answer newsroom. I'm Nikki Whaley. Community members are weighing in on how Chicago Public Schools should address a $734 million budget deficit. CPS Chief Budget Officer Michael Sikowski revealed the results of community feedback sessions by CPS to the Chicago Board of Education yesterday.
The main themes that we heard across our communities were, 1, to work with the state and the city to secure additional dedicated revenue. 2nd, to avoid cuts to schools or programs that would hurt students' education.
About 77% of forum participants said that the district shouldn't borrow money to avoid making cuts. The district needs to release a final budget by August 13th. Mayor Brandon Johnson isn't planning to propose a property tax increase to fill a massive gap in this year's budget.
Well, I will not be proposing a property tax increase in my budget. I'm going to continue to work hard to find progressive revenue.
The city faces a $1.2 billion budget deficit in 2026. Johnson proposed a $300 million property tax hike last year. However, the city council unanimously rejected it. A fire alarm at a suburban facility is blamed for briefly halting mainline United airline flights nationwide. Officials say the FAA issued a ground stop last night after a fire alarm happened at the airline's Network Operations Center in Arlington Heights. The ground stop was lifted around an hour later. This news update is quickly delivered to you by Quick Delivery Service. Why are you sitting in Friday traffic? Time is money. When you need your important items delivered quickly, Quick Delivery Service will be there to pick it up and take it to its destination. Go to quickdelivery.com. A check of the roads coming up in 2 minutes, but now time for the Signature Bank Business Beat.
I'm Liz Clayman, and this is the Fox Business Report.
Health insurer Centene lost money in its spring quarter. It's been seeing declines in Medicaid and Medicare membership and says it's going through a rough patch. Chief Executive Sarah London says despite the shifting landscape, she believes the staying power of Medicaid, Medicare, and the individual marketplace is as strong as it's ever been. Kia wants to sell you a hybrid or gas car. The South Korean automaker is looking to boost U.S. sales and market share. Kia, with its affiliate Hyundai Motors, says it took a $570 million hit from tariffs in the spring quarter. It's anticipating a larger impact in coming months. Kia and Hyundai import about 2/3 of cars sold in the U.S. French liquor company Rémy Cointreau says its tariff impact will be less severe than previously anticipated. That's your Fox Business Report. I'm Jenny Cosolda. Invested in you.
Join John Anthony, host of Black and Right, for a cruise on Lake Michigan, Saturday, September 6th. Come aboard the luxury yacht Free Spirit for a fun afternoon with fellow AM 560 listeners. Enjoy great food and beverages and be a part of the live broadcast of Black and Right with John Anthony. Tickets are on sale now at 560theanswer.com/cruise. That's 560theanswer.com/cruise.
Mike Lindell and MyPillow employees want to thank my listeners for all your continued support. Mike has a passion to help get everyone the best sleep of their life. He didn't stop by creating the best pillow. He created the best bed sheets ever. Mike is offering the best deal on his Percale bed sheets. You can get a set for as low as $24.98. The MyPillow Percale sheets are breathable and have a cool, crisp feel. They have deep pockets to fit over any mattress. They look and feel great, which means an even better night's sleep for me, which is crucial for my busy schedule. Also, for a limited time, when your order is over $100, you'll receive $100 in free digital gifts. Go to MyPillow.com now and use promo code LIBERTY to receive the MyPillow Percale sheets for as low as $24.98. Order now or call 800-489-0201 and use promo code LIBERTY. That number again is 800-489-0201, promo code LIBERTY.
At AlmostFreeTeeth.com, they're dedicated to making smiles great again. If you have medical PPO insurance, find out how you could save 90% off on average to get a beautiful dental implant-supported smile. Check if you qualify right now at AlmostFreeTeeth.com.
If you have unfiled taxes or are in debt to the IRS, this is important news. Did you know the IRS has programs specifically designed to help people struggling with tax debt? Powerful tax assistance programs that can save you thousands if you qualify. No one knows these programs better than the experts at Optima Tax Relief, America's most trusted tax resolution firm. A+ rated by the Better Business Bureau, their award-winning tax attorneys and licensed professionals have resolved over $1 billion of tax debt for their clients. One call to Optima can start the process, helping to put an end to your worries about wage garnishment, asset seizure, and other aggressive IRS actions. Find the best options to solve your tax problems. Call the experts at Optima Tax Relief today for a free consultation.
Call 800-965-1433. 800-965-1433. 800-965-1433.
Optima Tax Relief.
Some restrictions apply. For complete details, please visit OptimaTaxRelief.com.
ZipRecruiter is the place. ZipRecruiter is the place for talented teachers, savvy software developers, and master mixologists. ZipRecruiter is the place where you meet all these people and more. That's because ZipRecruiter is the place for job seekers who are looking for new opportunities. In fact, ZipRecruiter helps 10 million people with their job search every day, so you can find the right candidates right away. It's no wonder that ZipRecruiter is the place for skilled skydiving instructors, accomplished airbrush artists, and proficient pediatricians. But if you're not using ZipRecruiter to hire, you're missing out. ZipRecruiter is the place that's so confident it can make your hiring easier that it lets you try it for free at ZipRecruiter.com/free. So if you want the right candidates for all your roles, ZipRecruiter is the place to go. Try it for free at ZipRecruiter.com/free. That's ZipRecruiter.com/free. Never miss out on great candidates with ZipRecruiter.
From the Team Hoffberg Traffic Center, I'm Nikki Whaley. On the Edens inbound from Lake Cook to Montrose, about 15 minutes, 14 minutes outbound. On the Kennedy inbound from Montrose to the Burn Interchange, 25 minutes. Now outbound about 25 minutes. On the Eisenhower inbound from Wolf to the Old Post Office, 23 minutes. Outbound is 18 minutes. On the Stevenson inbound from the Tri-State to Lakeshore Drive, 25 minutes. Outbound is about 23 minutes. On the Dan Ryan inbound from 95th to the Burn Interchange, 17 minutes. Outbound is about 11 minutes. Chicago Skyway eastbound from the Dan Ryan to the Indiana State Line, 4 minutes. On the westbound side, about 7 minutes. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next, but now I check your forecast from the National Weather Service.
Today will be mostly cloudy, not as warm, but humid with a few showers and a heavy thunderstorm, which may lead to flash flooding. Expect a high of 80. Tonight stays cloudy, warm, and humid with a couple of intense thunderstorms, increasing the risk of significant flash flooding. Be cautious of rapidly rising water. The low will be 72. I'm meteorologist Jason Caterina on AM 560, The Answer.
Get the latest weather, traffic, and news updates online at 560theanswer.com. Now, from the Signature Bank Studios, this is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft on AM 560, The Answer.
AM 560, The Answer. This is Chicago's Morning Answer. Chris Kroc in for Dan Proft. Dan's back on Monday. You can follow me on social media at Chris Kroc Show. That's at Chris Kroc Show, ChrisKrok. John Lott. This is real fascinating. I've read about 3 of his articles that have come out recently. He is the president of the Crime Prevention Research Center, former senior advisor for research and statistics at the U.S. Department of Justice Office of Legal Policy, and author of Gun Control, Myths and More Guns, Less Crime. Now, John, it was very fascinating reading some of these columns because some of the things I thought you dispelled. I am a proud gun owner. Intentionally went out and got myself my AR-15 because obviously the left wants to take it away from me. I conceal carry as much as possible wherever I go. And first of all, thanks for joining us on Chicago's Morning Answer.
Oh, thanks for having me on. I appreciate it.
We're going to get into the gun stuff in just a moment and also the death penalty. I love what you said about Brian Koberger and some other people. I totally agree with you on that. But let's start with this. Illegals, crime rates of illegals versus you and me. The Cato Institute, I was surprised, but I haven't read much of their stuff or anything for years, but I was totally surprised to see that they are absolutely falsely reporting stuff, or at least have their head up their butt when it comes to this. Tell me what the real truth is on the numbers of illegals committing crimes versus us. And let me put this in real fast too. You shared this in your comments. Crazy. Maricopa County, illegals committed almost 22% of felonies, sentenced in Maricopa County Supreme Court. But yet, the Mexican nationals also accounted for 13% of inmates in the state prison system. 142% more likely to be convicted of a crime than other Arizonans with these illegals. This is insane. Tell me about these numbers and what the truth is.
Right. Well, unfortunately, the media doesn't do a very good job of explaining these things. Cato puts out these studies where they claim that illegals commit crimes at relatively low rates compared to the U.S. population. And they base it on this America Community Survey by the Commerce Department, which is a truly massive survey. They survey about 3.5 million people each year. And they even survey people who are in prison, and they ask them whether they're illegals or not, and they look at their share of the prison population. The problem is that you can't look at that because if you're an illegal, you can be deported anyway. And if you're arrested, many illegals are deported immediately after arrest. Other illegals may be prosecuted and convicted and then deported as soon as they're convicted. And even if they end up serving some time in prison, they can be deported and are frequently deported while they're serving their prison term. So if I have two people who commit a robbery and both of them get sentenced to 4 years in prison, one's an illegal and one's an American citizen, the illegal may only be there for 3 months or 6 months of the 4-year term. Well, guess what? Then they're going to be very underrepresented in terms of their share of the prison population that are there. And you got to adjust for it. And Cato, unfortunately, refuses to mention those types of problems in their data. And the media, which, it plays from the New York Times or Washington Post, that goes and reports on these numbers, either doesn't know or doesn't care about trying to delve into whether those numbers make sense. Unfortunately, there's not a lot of places that go and collect this data. But, even the Biden administration last year put out information on the rate of crime, criminal backgrounds for so-called non-detained individuals. 7.4 million non-detained individuals have been released into the country, illegals who were released. Of those, the Biden administration acknowledged that 662,000 of them had criminal records. Now, the problem is that even that is a big underestimate, even that 9%, for a couple reasons. One is virtually all those non-detained individuals were individuals who voluntarily turned themselves in at the border. So they're probably not the ones that you should be most concerned about. We had over 2 million so-called gotaways, people that we saw coming across the border but we didn't catch. And then we had millions more that we never even saw come across the border, those that would pay the cartels extra money in order to avoid having to deal with the border patrols. Those are the ones that probably are much more dangerous. And on top of that, even the ones that did turn themselves in, you had many countries like Venezuela, for example, that refused to provide data to us on whether their illegals that were in our country had criminal backgrounds. So, that 9% is pretty bad. I mean, it included 13,000 who had been convicted of murders in their home countries, plus a couple thousand more that had been charged but had escaped their country in order to avoid punishment. And we can go through other data, but it's pretty clear that illegals commit crimes and have committed crimes at high rates compared to U.S. citizens.
John Lott, president of Crime Prevention Research Center, former senior advisor for research and statistics at the U.S. Department of Justice, Office of Legal Policy, and author of Gun Control Myths, More Guns, Less Crime. Let's shift into the death penalty, because two things. I could not agree with you more. I've been going nuts on this with each one of these cases, particularly, actually, really with Bryan Kohberger. Really, he was too afraid of the death penalty. That's why he copped a plea. These people are cowards, and they are terrified of being put to death. And I think it's the same way with, for example, Khalid Sheikh Mohammed, the head of the 9/11 attacks. But you also cite the murderer in that horrific Walmart shooting in El Paso, racially motivated, who murdered 23 people. The crazed guy who killed 12 and injured 70 at the Aurora, Colorado theater shooting. The guy who shot and killed 6 and injured 13 when Gabrielle Giffords was hit from him. Dylan Roof, that sick, satanic man who killed 9 at the Charleston church, and the Parkland shooter as well. So here's what I have been saying for years, and you're the expert, not me. The excuse that the left uses against the death penalty, which I'm totally for, is that it doesn't cause recidivism. It doesn't stop people from reoffending, right, or scare people away. It doesn't also, it costs more because the appeals process takes a long, long time and such. But I have advocated saying, thinking that was accurate, that the costs of the death penalty are higher than they would be if you just put them in jail, and that it doesn't stop people from committing murders. And I'll be interested to hear what you say, but I think the Bryan Kohbergers of the world wouldn't be stopped by the prospect of a death penalty. But I think once they're charged and stuff, they are then terrified of it. So what do you say to this? Because based on what you say, it looks like that's not true, that it might be cheaper and it might deter criminals. But regardless, I don't care. Is my point, too. But talk to me about this. What's the truth on this?
Right. Well, there are multiple issues as you raise. One is just how do these killers view the threat of the death penalty versus life in prison? And what you find time after time, they beg for plea bargains in order to go and avoid the death penalty. So that at least tells you something. Obviously They still committed the crime, but at least gives you some information there on, are they more afraid of the death penalty than life in prison? And that means at least maybe for some of these killers or some would-be killers, the threat of the death penalty stopped them from committing the crime to begin with. But, with regard to saving money, if Kohberger had gone through the trial, you've been talking about a trial that could be a month or more. There would have been huge costs on the part of the state, as well as picking up his costs. Often the government has to pick up the defense costs for the murderer that's there. But they've avoided all those costs in this case. And plus, he's agreed to no appeals in the future for his thing. And so the threat of the death penalty, even if you don't actually use it, the threat there causes these guys to agree to plea bargains, and you save lots of legal costs that are there. And that's something that just is ignored and not talked about at all. And so, are there costly appeals that opponents of the death penalty impose for those that do get sentenced to death? Yeah, but it has to be weighed against the other legal costs that you save there by having it so that these other people beg to avoid the death penalty.
You know, and I wanted to mention something else too. That my strong, unwavering opinion on the death penalty is that it is justice. It is not revenge. It is not to save money. It is not to cause others to think about it. It is because that is the sober justice that we have voted in for the people of our state, wherever it is, or the country, to decide and give that penalty if need be. Not revenge. Not for money, not for this, but because it's the proper justice. I wanted to ask you this. Go ahead. Well, go ahead. We have a minute, kind of a minute and a half left. Yeah.
I understand. I guess, I can't really, I try to look at things I can measure.
Right.
One thing you see is that there's a lot of academic research that shows that the death penalty actually saves lives. It reduces the number of murders that are there. Each execution, you find you reduce the number of murders by between 8 and 16, depending upon the study that you look at. And so, those are things you don't see, clearly.
Right.
It's not like but it's important, and you have to attach a big value to that when you're talking about these other costs.
Here's one last question I want to sneak in. Your article or column in Real Clear Politics, AI chatbots rely on sources with clear biases. This is so wild. You go back and forth with Grok, and Grok keeps telling you that handguns don't make us safe, or guns don't make us safer with protection and such, and you nail it time and time again until it finally will start acquiesce to the truth, which is what you keep fighting it with. Here's the problem I have, and I want your comments on this. We don't have enough people like you to do this. And we have so many, to fight with the Grok to change his mind, to fill it with facts. And we have so many ignorant people that will use this and not know that the bias is happening.
Right. Look, people who use things like Google News Search probably have ideas about the biases that exist on these things. Because the people who program these things weight certain types of information sources more heavily than others. So when you do a Google News search, you'll see articles from the New York Times and Washington Post come up at the top. Anything that might be a more conservative source, like the New York Post or whatever, may be buried, on page 5 or something like that. Well, these AI programs also weight different types of information there. And I'll give you one example. Last year, we asked the 20 leading AI chatbots questions about crime and gun control. We asked them questions like, do higher arrest rates and conviction rates deter crime? And none of the AI chatbots agreed with that. All of them said that they disagreed. 10 of them said they strongly disagreed that higher arrest rates and higher conviction rates deterred some crime. And the other half just disagreed, not strongly disagreed, but just disagreed. And, I look at that and they had similar answers to many other questions that were there that were similar. You kind of ask yourself, to me, it's pretty obvious. If you want to reduce crime, you make it risky for criminals to commit crime. You make, higher arrest rates, higher conviction rates. But, it just gives you an idea of how left-leaning the people who program these AI chatbots are. And I agree with you. Students are using them to write their papers in college. You have, and the thing is, I write in this area. I write academic papers, and so when the AI chatbot Grok was kind of misdescribing research there, claiming that the studies, had done different things than they actually had, I was able to go and push back. But even when you could admit it, I was talking to an expert in AI the other night, and he said that they're programmed at some point just to agree with you. But if you were to go and ask them the same initial question again, they'd give you the old answer even after they had agreed with you.
John, this is wild. I wish we had more of you to continue to fight this. I'm grateful for your work, and I appreciate you very much for everything you do to spread the truth and with research. We need you, people like you, a lot more. Thank you for your time this morning, sir.
Thank you. People can find more at our website at crimeresearch.org. primeresearch.org. But thank you.
Thank you, John. Have a great day. All right, coming up next, Open Mic Friday. We go nuts. We have fun. Call in right now. Lines wide open. 312-642-5600. Open Mic Friday. Next on AM 560, Chicago's Morning Answer. Chris Crock in for Dan Proft. He's back Monday.
The stories you need to know to start your day. This is Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer.
Hi, I'm Ken Mariotti, owner of Woodland Windows and Doors, a third-generation family-owned business since 1969. We know you're bombarded by choices when shopping for new windows or doors, so we're inviting you to experience the Woodland difference. For decades, we have been transforming living spaces with Marvin Windows, a fifth-generation family business. Marvin replacement windows have been known to increase the warmth of your cold rooms by 10 degrees. Think about that, 10 degrees warmer. When you welcome Woodland into your home, you will get a product expert to transform your living spaces, full-time, dedicated professional installers that you can trust in your home, along with the best products like Marvin. These are the reasons we're proud of our 5-star reviews and family legacy. No gimmicks, no pressure, and upfront pricing are why Woodland Windows and Doors is your trusted window and door expert in Chicagoland. Visit woodlandwindows.com to book your free in-home expert consultation. That's woodlandwindows.com, or stop by our showroom at the corner of Lake and Geary in Roselle.
AM 560. The Answer.
Open mic! Woo! Open mic Friday!
Whoa! Whoa, whoa!
Call in now!
Yeah!
Open mic Friday!
Whoa! Come on, come on! Oh, yeah, baby! This is AM 560, The Answer, Chicago's Morning Answer. Chris Crock and for Dan Proft. It is Open Mic Friday. Lines wide open. Chime in right now. 312-642-5600. 312-642-5600. You go nuts. You call in and you just go, baby. Go, go, go. First caller is David Kolsak, owner and founder of Turnkey IT and the sponsor of Open Mic Friday. Hello, David.
Well, good morning, Chris. You mentioned the World's Fair in a segment a little bit earlier. There's no way that Daniel Burnham and his friends could have built that white city in the coldest winter recorded in Chicago in 1 year. None of that story makes any sense if you look at pictures and have any knowledge of construction. They were purging history there. I'm convinced of that. But anyway, I've been watching this information that Tulsi Gabbard has been releasing very closely, as many people have. And what's interesting to me is the way that it's being disseminated. It seems to me that this administration is doing its best to let the American people digest things bit by bit and try to win in the court of public opinion. That's to say, if you just go and arrest a former sitting president without having the people behind you, there may be some chaos, maybe some civil unrest, and that would be devastating. Riots bigger than George Floyd by a mile. And the way that people are digesting the information largely depends on where they get the information. If you listen to some outlets, you've got the opinion that Obama's dead to rights. But if you listen to others, this whole effort by Tulsi Gabbard is just to distract you from the idea that Trump's implicated in the Epstein files and he's guilty of something seditious, again, for the umpteenth time. But if you look at the documents themselves, just read the documents. I think you're better off than listening to someone pontificate about the information that's being exposed. So in one of the documents that's been declassified, you'll note, and I quote, Moscow had additional information it obtained from cyber collection against the U.S. government and non-government targets, such as reports on Secretary Clinton's health that could have been used against the Clinton administration's policies and nominees. It goes on to say that we assume that Moscow refrained from the full spectrum of actions it could have taken to affect the U.S. election. We judge that the Kremlin could have disclosed additional material, meaning that the Obama administration lied. Russia did not interfere in the 2016 election, as we've been told over and over and over. If anything, Russia helped Hillary Clinton by not exposing what they knew. They knew about her health, her unbelievable temper tantrums, her medical sedation, and they didn't say a word. On top of that, the report also says, unlike routine IC analysis, the ICA was a high-profile product ordered by the president, directed by senior IC agency heads, and created by just 5 CIA analysts, we all know who those guys are, using one principal drafter. Production of the ICA was subject to unusual directives from the president and senior political appointees, and particularly the DCIA, The draft was not properly coordinated within the CIA or the IC, ensuring that it would be published without significant challenges to its conclusions. This is a smoking gun, and it's not open for interpretation. The IC concluded that Obama himself ordered the new assessment, and it was abnormally handled by Obama's intelligence heads and just 5 select CIA analysts. It is hard to spin this news, but they are doing just that. After living through the last 10 years and watching events unfold since Trump went down the escalator, it's really hard not to get angry at the whole system, the media included. Think about the fact that a sitting president on his way out of office created a dossier out of thin air, fully knowing that it was all made up, fabricated, a lie, and keeping it within his inner circle. He had to have thought Hillary was going to win, and he would never have been caught. They all had to think that, but the truth always finds a way. And as Victor Davis Hanson stated, the White House cover-up would have been impossible had CNN, MSNBC, PBS, NBC, ABC, and CBS all conspired with the White House staff. So they're all culpable, and it's treasonous. These crimes have to be exposed, and those that did them have to be held to account. And don't tell me there's not precedent here. I can show you Donald Trump's mugshot. They had Donald Trump arrested in every jurisdiction in the United States. They tried to blow his head off, but before that, they wanted to send him to prison for 90 years. And they would have had he not won. So you can't say that presidents are untouchable. No, sir. The president of the United States cooked the books on his orders of intelligence in order to create a false narrative about the incoming president who was about to be sworn in. He used the CIA like it was the DNC. He used the FBI like it was the DNC. He used the DNI like it was the DNC, politicking with his office. That is a crime so severe that Barack Obama should never see the light of day. And this moment is everything to the people of America. We've already lost our faith in institutions here. The courts, the general system of justice is broken. The people need to see that there's accountability, and it's not just for Obama, Comey, Clapper, Susan Rice, Clinton, Strzok, Brennan. It's for the entire media that perpetuated the lie and created a complete matrix where everybody believed something to some extent that the Russian collusion narrative was true and that Donald Trump was a Russian asset. No, sir. They all need to see justice. And in my opinion, our justice system cannot be the system to put these traitors through. We need military tribunals. Swift, to the point, not protracted trials, but public, factual. And if you're guilty of treason, the penalty should be immediate and you should be put to death. That's what the penalty is. So this whole thing is not a distraction. It's everything to us. They did it. They got caught, and they should be punished. It's 1,000 times bigger than Watergate. And sadly, I think this is just the beginning. They're dripping this information out to win over the public when justice finally comes forward. And there's got to be a lot more to come. And it's working. So anyway, great to talk with you, and have a great weekend.
Thank you, David. You have a great weekend. David Kolsak, owner and founder of Turnkey IT, sponsor of Open Mic Friday. Now we go to your call. Let's go to Bill in Waukegan. You are on AM 560 The Answer.
Hey, thank you for taking my call. I was just going to, kind of almost repeat exactly what David just talked about as far as the willingness for Tulsi to do that. I think it took big cojones on her part to do that, and I think it's just a matter of time before the complete truth comes out. But not only that, I really feel that Tulsi, has a big target on her back. And I just wanted to get your thoughts on that as well, because, it's Washington is a cesspool of greed and corruption. And it's only, I wonder if it's going to be something where, Tulsi is found in a swimming pool somewhere, not breathing. But my gosh, she took a big risk on what she exposed.
I will answer your question now. Here's the big answer there. The difference is, as far as her, them trying to go after her or whatever, the difference is, I'm gonna give the example of New Jersey, where these woke leftist judges, federal judges, decided to vote to remove Alina Habba before her temporary interim term expired on Friday of this week. So they fired her because it's a leftist state run by leftist judges and politicians. And they picked the assistant U.S. attorney for New Jersey and said, "You're now in charge." What did Trump do? He fired her and then reappointed Alina Habba as the interim again. God bless him. And it is for Trump's great tactics like that I think that there's much more reason for them not to go after Tulsi, at least in a way they could go after publicly, because he'll do whatever needs to be done to remove the threat, like he did with, for example, Lena Habba. Don't play around. You want to remove our person? No problem. We'll fire them and put the new person right back in there, the same person. Let's go next to Rich, and you are in Indian Head Park. You're on AM 560. The Answer. Hello.
Hey, good morning, Chris.
Morning.
What I wanted to say is, even if Obama does not be brought up on criminal charges, the American people should know how big of a fraud he was, especially the black community, who voted in and basically voted him in for 2 terms, to show how big of a fraud this man was by trying to go after a president and keep the power for the Democrats. And what I think is that by them exposing this and keep going after these people like Brennan and Comey and them, they can go after those people and throw them in jail. They're not going to get Obama, and they're not going to get him to go to jail, but they can expose him to the American people that he was not a great president. He was a fraud.
Absolutely agree, my brother. Thank you. Great call. Let's go to Nick on the Northwest Side. You are on AM 560. The Answer. Chris Crock for Dan Proft. Hello.
Okay, thank you. You're doing a good job. I don't know where Dan found you, but at first I wasn't too sure about you, but I really like you.
He found me in the alley. Picked me up. Said, come on, buddy.
Oh,
you're
the guy next to me there. He picked you instead of me. Maybe I'll be the lucky one next time. Okay. I was going to say about this mental health screening for people and places they can go to. Now, in the year 2025, I'm a big proponent, and have been for several years, actually, of like for the police, that there be no stigma to somebody saying, hey, I got the badge and gun, but it's getting me some nuts out there. People throw stuff at me, and I got to be careful how I react to them. But these people who wander around, I use public transportation exclusively for 12 years now that I'm retired, and these people are all over the place, on the streets, on the buses. Occasionally I use the L, believe it or not, the red line, but on the north side. And they need a place. When Reagan many years ago closed down all these facilities, that was a long time ago, when the mental health thing was like a taboo thing. You're either supposedly nuts or you're not. But they need a place to go to where somebody's job is to listen to them and have them sit down. Tell me what's going on, and listen, notice you got some shabby clothes, or we're going to get something for you. We have these things like that are donated from Salvation Army or something like that. They need some place to go to, because otherwise they'll be mumbling. I don't mind if they mumble to me, but I'll mumble back to them.
Trump.
Keep on.
That's good, brother. That's very good. Thank you for your call, by the way. Trump just signed an executive order that is saying that basically if somebody's out in the streets and they are mentally disturbed, that they need to be put into a humanely put into a facility. That's kind of the gist of what he just signed. So that backs up what you're saying you would like. Steve in Deerfield, you're on AM 560. The Answer. Chris in for Dan.
Hey, thanks for taking my call, Chris.
Welcome.
So I was a federal prosecutor for almost 18 years. And I've been in federal court, criminal defense lawyer for even longer. So I know the system. If you need any evidence that Trump is trying to cover up the Epstein affair, what happened yesterday is proof positive. His deputy attorney general was his criminal defense lawyer, Trump's criminal defense lawyer. That's Todd Blanche.
Wait. How is he, real fast, I apologize. How is he Trump's criminal defense attorney?
Todd Blanche represented Donald Trump in some of Trump's criminal proceedings before he was reelected. He is his criminal defense lawyer, one of them. He then appoints his criminal defense lawyer.
I thought you meant, the reason I asked you that, now I understand what you're saying. You said he previously defended him. He's not defending him right now. There's no criminal anything.
Correct.
Yeah. Go ahead.
So let me just finish my point. I appreciate it.
Yeah, please.
Okay. All right. So lawyers, but through the canons of ethics, are not allowed to take positions that harm their existing or prior clients, okay? Todd Blanche has an ethical obligation to protect Donald Trump's personal interests as his former lawyer, okay? He should never have been appointed deputy attorney general for that very reason. But to then fire the prosecutor who prosecuted Maxwell, who knows more about her illicit activity than anyone on the planet except for Maxwell.
I know why he did that. I know why he did that. Because she was the lead prosecutor in the Puff Daddy, P. Diddy case, and she failed massively. It was a colossal failure for a prosecutor overcharging this case and having nothing and getting a small little prostitution over state lines charge. That is why, my brother. It was good to take your call. Appreciate you. Let's go to Eduardo in Tampa Bay. Hello, Eduardo.
Yeah, thank you for taking my call. First, let me say that whoever took out that transmitter from that progressive station yesterday was great news to hear.
Wait, was it what?
Yeah. Yeah, that was because you guys had that lightning, so there was a lot of damage from the storm. So their transmitter went out. I just happened to drop in and say, hey, the transmitter went out. What a shame. It could have happened to a better bunch.
There you go. That's funny.
Yeah,
okay.
but moving on here, Gen Z, I saw this on Daily Mail, is the most fired group by employers. And Gen Z also regrets going to college. Well, no kidding. You should have gone to trade school. That's what you should have done.
You know, I'll comment on that with some statistics, Eduardo, that I have right in front of me. And that is, if you're talking about Gen Z, which you are, the Gen Zs now lean Republican over Democrat by 18 points. Gen Z say Republican 52 to Democrats 34. That's Pew Research, which those are no friends of ours on the right. Chuck, Chuck, you're not next. You're coming up a little later. Jim, you are in South Elgin, not too far from where my wife was born. Hello, Jim. You are on AM 560, The Answer.
Well, good morning. It's always good to follow my good friend Eduardo from Tampa. I've been a supporter of the Heritage Foundation President's Club level for about 20-something years, maybe 25. Ed Fulton just passed away. He's the guy that started that and worked at Reagan's cabinet and Reagan's cabinet and did a lot of good things. But this week they had a small meeting in Northbrook, and one of the things that came up was the press and how dishonest they are.
Yeah.
And how in their deep state they are. And this is why we have to do our job in social media and counteract these people, because they just lie. I tell people now, I save $300 a month now because I canceled my cable subscriptions for both my home and office. You know, because all that garbage you get is just awful.
Right.
So the press is part of the problem. That's why talk radio is so good.
Jim, I appreciate your call, and you couldn't be more correct. That's exactly right, my brother. All right, let's go to Dawn. You are in Naperville. You are on AM 560, The Answer. Hello.
Hey, Chris. You're doing a great job. How are you doing this morning?
Thank you. That's very, very sweet and very kind of you. I'm doing well, especially with your nice call.
All right. So the Chicago Sun-Times recently did an article to address the $734 million shortfall in their budget. Okay.
Yes.
So let's break it down. They had
You're talking about CPS, right? You're talking about CPS?
That's correct. Yes.
Yes.
CPS. I'm sorry. Yeah. So what they said was that since 2019, CPS has hired 7,000 more employees. Okay. Now, what they say is that half of those are special ed employees.
Yes.
They state that although overall student enrollment has gone down, special ed students have gone up. Now, this is what we have to point out. They point out that CPS hired about 1,100 more special education teachers and 3,000 special education classroom assistants. Mm-hmm. So just so everyone understands, here would be my question. When you have a disability, when you have an IEP, it means you need specially designed instruction. Most of the time, these classroom assistants aren't certified in a program that these children need.
Wow.
So, okay, they might hire, 40 over 4,000 employees. Are the children who have the disability is this what they actually need, or are you just throwing money out there?
Oh.
Because what these kids actually need are probably somebody who's certified in a literacy program to help them to read.
Yes.
That is what these children need.
Let's answer the question, I think, here with some more statistics. Are they whizzing away their money? Well, let's see here. See, this is from WGN-TV, Channel 9. CPS currently has a $9 billion in existing long-term debt, requires $800 million alone in annual debt service payments, and as you mentioned, $734 million. And you got to love this. They got to figure this out by August 28th. Good luck with that. And they cut 1,400 positions, but it really is just part of the district's annual staff adjustments. And they're going to save $165 million for that, but they're still searching for, looking in the bushes to find some coins or the couch cushion for $539 million. So do you and I trust them to cut stuff and to hire the right people? No. Brilliant take about reading, not unqualified people. Great call, Dawn. I appreciate your call.
Thank you.
All right, bye-bye. Let's go to Glenn in, Orlando. Hello, Glenn. How are you?
Good morning, Chris. I'm doing fine. Hope you're doing well. Good
Thank you, brother. I should have said you're on AM 560, The Answer. Chris in for Dan. Go.
So with all of the stuff coming out from Tulsi Gabbard and all of the evidence, there's nobody above the law. People need to go to jail, including Obama, Biden, his wife. Everybody needs to go in front of a court.
Nurse Jill, too. Nurse Jill. You said Nurse Jill, too?
Without a doubt. Okay. And I keep hearing pundits say, we can't have the first ladies come in. That's not appropriate. No, baloney. Nobody's above the law.
Right.
Nobody's above the law. And if people don't go to court and get prosecuted, this will never stop.
Correct.
It will continue forever.
Correct. I appreciate your great call, Glenn, and thank you very much. The president, somebody mentioned this earlier. One of the folks that called in earlier, that we had on as a guest, I should say, former federal prosecutor George Perry out of Philadelphia was on earlier, and I agree that the immunity thing is going to be, it's wide. That was that 6-3 decision by the Supreme Court giving Trump, immunity, presidential immunity, and the official duties. But and so I don't think former President Hussein Obama is going to be prosecuted and jailed, although he should be. But is it an act of your official duties to rig, to make up fake intelligence to try to destroy a presidency, or is that more treason? I would argue it's treason and insurrection a lot more than the other way around. Bill, you are on the Northwest Side. You're on AM 560, The Answer. Hello.
Yeah, Chris, the other part of accountability for these criminals is putting them through the process. General Flynn, Peter Navarro, Steve Bannon, the president had to spend millions of dollars to defend themselves.
Right.
They need to feel that kind of pain also. So that's the other part of accountability, to deter people from doing these things in the future. Make them pay.
Let me tell you something about Flynn. This is a piece that I gathered from the many readings. Flynn was going to get the intelligence report, the real one, saying that Russia is what do they call it? They're inspired or something like that to try to get involved, but nothing about them having an effect, nothing about the fusion GPS, all those lies, the Steele dossier, all those lies. So literally, General Flynn was about to get those documents because he was the incoming intelligence official. But former President Hussein Obama swapped it out and rigged the intel report so that Flynn got the rigged report. But he was this close, quote unquote, as what's her name, the columnist in the Sun-Times used to say, this close. I love how she wrote that. And the two words are right next to each other. Was this close to getting that report that said the truth until they rigged it. So he could have known the whole thing. But what do? They set him up to put him in jail for process crimes, which had nothing to do with anything. Sick bleeps is what I'll say about that. Ron on the South Side, you're on AM 560. The Answer. Chris Crockett for Dan Proft. Go, Ron.
Hey, Chris, great job this week.
Thank you.
The days you in. Real quick, Annie Palmarzoni and Michael McLean, they got slap on the wrist. The irony of it is ComEd's bill, the cost of ComEd is going up this much. But here's my thing.
$68.23. Yes.
Yep. But here is the thing. Even though they got a slap on the wrist, hopefully they will do most of their time and won't get out because they're old, like that scumbag piece of garbage Ed Burke did. Have a good weekend.
Amen. Great take, brother. Great take. Bill, on the South Side as well, you're on AM 560, The Answer.
Yeah, Chris, I remember this came out before when they were talking about the Epstein. There's a difference between the Epstein files and the Epstein list. There's the list the people focus on, who went to the island.
Right.
Epstein had a shuttle plane that went from Miami to New York, and a lot of the airlines were booked up. Guys like Trump, even Bobby Kennedy Jr. Was in the files also, because I guess he took his grandkids or somebody to the Disney World and they couldn't get back, so they took the Epstein flight back to New York. So that's all that was about Trump that I remember a few years ago. So now they're bringing this crap up again, and it's just, Trump is. There's a reason why they're not doing it, but it's not because he's trying to hide something that he did. That's what I believe.
There's no way that former President Hussein Obama or Joe Biden, the mentally infirm Joe Biden, wouldn't have released anything that could destroy Trump or hurt Trump. They tried to get him killed with taking the Secret Service's hands off of Trump to let him get shot in Butler, I believe, and former federal prosecutor George Perry believes that the Secret Service intentionally kind of withdrew a little bit and put these DEI people in and these incompetent people in so that it could happen, be more likely to happen, knowing there was several threats against the president's life. So, I do agree with what you said in there. Let's go to Tom, who actually he's going to parry what I just said and what George Perry said earlier. You are in Blue Island, and you're on AM 560. The Answer, Chris and for Dan.
Good morning, sir. So you've had two prosecutors on. You've had the hack Steve from Deerfield, the leftist, and you had the good guy, George Perry. The idea of being a federal prosecutor has been compromised by what's happened to Republicans over the last 4 years. That being said, George Perry laid out everything that has occurred to President Trump, and he laid out the argument, the Secret Service, of what happened with the Secret Service.
Right.
And the first Trump assassination attempt. If anyone looks at a panoramic view of that field, you would come to the conclusion the easiest place to shoot President Trump from was the one roof that was left unprotected.
Yes, the AGR building.
That cannot be a coincidence.
Right.
So George Perry's a great guy, but you can't go all the way to the edge of the cliff and then stop, Chris. There's no way in the world that everything is done to facilitate an assassination attempt without having an assassin. So the idea that this Crooks guy that you can't get any evidence on just randomly meandered around, ended up on that roof, and tried to shoot President Trump is kind of ridiculous.
I appreciate your call, my brother. Thank you very much. All right, we actually have several lines open for the first time in quite a while. This is Open Mic Friday. Get on that phone and call us right now at 312-642-5600. Several lines open. First time in like 20 minutes. 312-642-5600, 312-642-5600. Here's some more gems to share with you. Illinois Federation of Teachers, it's from IllinoisPolicy.org. Illinois Federation of Teachers likes trans restrooms, dislikes cops, and charter schools. In 2023, IFT shared on Twitter how unions can lead the fight in providing bathrooms for transgender workers. That's it. Lead the fight. This is what matters. There's transgender people everywhere. They need bathrooms. Now, they need some help down here. They wrote, transgender employees must have access to restrooms that correspond to their gender identity. Whatever they got downstairs is where they're going to go to the bathroom. Next question. They mentioned three things about IFT, and of course under their tutelage CTU. Look at this. 1 point. IFT supports defunding the police. Counselors, not cops. Flyers handed out. Okay. Where did number 2 go? Oh, that was number 2. Number 1 is they support boys and girls bathrooms, obviously. But here's number 3. I'm sitting here late last night at my studio where I'm sitting here right now. You can watch me live on YouTube at the Chicago's Morning Answer YouTube. You can see if I have a third appendage growing out of my forehead or I have a third eye or whatnot, or if I'm as handsome as I sound. Obviously, I'm extraordinarily handsome and very modest. But the IFT claims, this made me laugh, just this headline, ready? IFT claims charter schools are dehumanizing. Charter schools are dehumanizing. Wow. How'd you get to that? Charter schools not only lead to the dehumanization of education, but also lead to resegregation. You guys are freaking nuts. All right, let's go to Jose on the west side. Jose, you're on AM 560, The Answer.
Hello, thank you for taking my call. I'll make it real quick and short. I've heard that the Butler shooter was commingling with Secret Service agents at a range and that he was going there to practice. But I've never heard anyone actually investigating the range, talking to the people on the range, talking to the Secret Service agents that were there at that time. And I wonder why no one is actually questioning this.
Well, I've not heard of Secret Service folks interacting with him at all in the range, so I'm a little skeptical on that claim. But I appreciate your call. Deborah in Arlington Heights, you're on AM 560, The Answer.
Hi, Chris. I just want to bring up trusting the government and bring up two instances. One is the CIA gave their own agents LSD without their knowledge and did that for quite a long time to do experiments on them. And then more recently, we find out that in Area 51, the FBI or CIA or whoever lied about, like producing UFO evidence. That was all false. So there's two instances right off the bat where you can say that the government is not being honest with you. And for the Butler thing, there's no way all these coincidences came into play that came into play. Like, there's just no way. The roof was too sloped then, they're saying, and there was nobody there. And they're not, it's radio silence about the families and investigating. They cremated Crook's body. He was communicating. They know he was communicating with people outside the country. So I don't see how all these things can just be a coincidence. He was flying a drone earlier in the day.
And the drone operator that they used was a rookie, and the drone was broken, and he couldn't fly because he didn't know how to fix it. I mean, it was a total a confluence of events that seem not coincidental in any way in my view. And you had the nurse Jill handpicking this Cheadle lady who was an idiot, incompetent, and she was in charge. And all these requests from the Trump team, from Secret Service, and from Trump, and they were all denied. So to me, I said it for weeks and weeks and weeks, and I've said it since the assassination attempt where Trump was shot in Butler, that the Secret Service appears to have totally withdrawn its hands to let something happen. That's absolutely what I believe. Breaking news before we go to Chuck in just a second from Delavan, where my family and I for years went to Lake Lawn Lodge and the Abbey. Great places up there, over by there. DHS has begun flying illegals out of Florida's Alligator Alcatraz. That just came out from Fox News. I couldn't be happier. Get them out of this country. And now, the best for last. Chuck, you need some intro music. I don't have any for you, but I'll think about that next time. Chuck in Delavan, how are you?
Hey, thanks for mentioning my high school garage band, Cheeto Lady. Hey, when I was at the racing rally and also at the Waukesha rally for Trump, they had F-16s and they had drones in the air, and they didn't have any in Pennsylvania. Big night tonight, downtown Sharon, Chip and Debs, and then head over to the Abbey to see the D-Like Duo at 8:30. Have a great weekend.
Baby. Yeah, baby. I love that he mentioned the Abbey after I mentioned the Abbey. Great minds think alike. Absolutely. How about going up to, what do you call it, the Dells and going on the Ducks, etc. Tommy Bartlett. Remember all that stuff? Remember Xanadu? I don't know if you've been there in a while, but remember all that stuff? I remember that as a kid. Absolutely. Camping. We used to go camping in that area. Hey, I had a blast with you again today. Like always, you can follow me on social media at Chris Kroc Show. That's at Chris Kroc Show, CHRISKROK. Dan is back on Monday. I'll see you next time on AM 560, The Answer, WIND, Chicago.
He just took off. I'm Dave Anthony, Fox News. President Trump is taking a trip to Scotland that will include trade talks with the British Prime Minister. As for working out an agreement that could lower looming 30% tariffs on European imports.
We have a 50-50 chance, maybe less than that, but a 50-50 chance of making a deal with the EU.
President Trump told reporters that before leaving. He also talked about Israel's war in Gaza the day after the latest round of ceasefire talks fell apart, with U.S. Special Envoy blaming Hamas not willing to release the final living hostage.